Hello, I'm Eagle Gardens 1 on Instagram, and this is fucking talking shit with Eagle, episode 417. Hopefully, you guys had a great Tuesday. I've got one of the guests you guys have been asking for, Dream Gene Traders. Lou, how you doing, my friend? Can you tell us how you doing, and of course, where we can find you?
You can find me at Gene Traders on Facebook or IG, and also gene-traders.com online. And you said 417? I was
Yes, sir.
three away from 420, almost.
Yeah, we're getting up there, man. I've been only been doing this for a little over a year now. I think I started this like March 25th of last year, and we've stacked up all these episodes plus another almost equal episodes of the what I call the wormhole as well. So been a pretty busy year here as well.
That's good to hear, man. It's good to hear.
So did you bring anything to partake on tonight? Hopefully you don't mind
Oh
if
yeah,
I'm smoking
I
while we
got a little something right here. I'm already like pretty stoned already. Like I kind of finished shooting off some final emails, and then just kind of like started winding down, started smoking already, and like yes, I'm ready. For sure.
Nice. So I guess this is a fair question before we get into necessarily the business aspect of it. We got to find out, what started you on your cannabis journey there. So what led you to starting the Gene Traders? Were you already pretty passionate in the cannabis scene and couldn't find genetics? What made you say, hey man, I gotta get something going so we can not only I can find genetics, but other people can find some amazing genetics as well.
So around at 2016, I ended up actually needing a whole bunch of genetics because I was actually a caregiver and I had patients at the time. And like most people, it's kind of difficult buying genetics online. It's very vague, there's very little information, and there's a possibility that you will not get them. Even, I mean, to be honest with you, it's kind of like real today. You hear people getting scammed like all the time. My friend just got scammed the other day for something. They said, he showed him the picture, blah, blah, blah. He sent him the money and then turned around and just blocked them like immediately. So it's gotten somewhat worse because it's so much fast information. So I ended up reaching out to somebody that actually is an underground like seed bank, So I went to his house and I was looking through different things, trying to find something, similar to what my patients were looking for. And I was sitting on the couch and I was like, hey, at the time I was actually putting events together. So I got interested to actually answer your question. I got interested in cannabis because coming out of the Army, I ended up needing to need something to just help me calm down besides alcohol and adding with the pills and all that. So, because I was just becoming like non-functional. I mean, if somebody, even on a physical fight or anything like that, being able to hold it while you're under so much influence, it's just not good. So I ended up actually switching more to cannabis and actually ended up dealing with myself that way, dealing with some of my pains, which I still do today. But I really got interested into it towards like the plant when I started cultivating for caregivers, which was a totally different journey than, I was trying to get away from. Now, fast forward to, needing to find different genetics for my patients, and the underground seed bank, I asked them, I was like, have you ever thought about putting events together? And since I used to work for radio stations, I know how to put a whole bunch of different events together, concerts of all sizes. So it's pretty easy for me to put something together. He wasn't interested in doing an event. He liked it, keep it on low. Most genetic banks do. They're very shy people, as like I like to say. So I ended up going off on my own and decided to try to put this event together. I ended up going to my boy East Coasterdam, and we were smoking, and I was talking, kind of just bouncing the idea off of him, just kind of see what he thought about it. I was gonna do it anyway, but just kind of getting some feedback. And I was originally gonna call it Seed Traders, but my boy Gene Traders, but my boy East Coasterdam ended up saying, why don't you call it like genetic traders or gene traders, so you can also sell, have vendors sell clones. I was like, that's a good idea. And we were smoking a joint, and shortly thereafter I threw up for no apparent reason. It wasn't anything that I ate, I wasn't feeling sick, but something, I guess it must have been the idea that was so like just kind of like came out completely. And I kind of stuck with it. So I throw events all the time. Some work, some don't. It's just part of the business. And I ended up it actually worked. There actually is a massive need for different type of genetics, not just for the home grower, but also for the big time, huge facility grower. They need new genetics as well. So all the new stuff, all the hype strains, that they need to get their hands on those things too as well, in order to be able to be relevant inside the retail stores. The closet grower just wants something new and also want access to the genetic side too, because a lot of times, right, because this included myself, you end up having a home grower that wants the new strain, but you have to fly to California to get go to one of the big events, Cannabis Cup, Emerald Cup, MJ Biz, where all the big seed breeders end up being, and actually go there and buy the seeds and then fly back if you end up making it back with the seeds. But it's a tough journey just trying to get genetics. So now with gene traders, you'll be able to actually get those top end genetics, and be able to talk to somebody that actually has possibly grown it, where a question give you some advice, which we all know, like, to get to know a plant, I think I'm gonna say at least 2 to 3 cycles, really 3 cycles, maybe 4. That's a long time. You're talking about what? One cycle is 3-4 months. You're already talking about almost a year just to get to know one type. So that little bit of advice between somebody else from one side of the table can save you like 6 months possibly. But ever since then, you find these little things that end up making gene traders that much more like important to the community. In 2020, we ended up finding out a really amazing reason that gene traders was needed. Ended up being for medical reasons, because now you have people that needed their medication from the medical dispensaries, but the medical dispensaries were running out because there was such a high demand, because everybody was just kind of staying at home and smoking more. Everybody can, you can't drink all day, but you can smoke all day. So now there was a shortage of medicine for people that possibly even have kids that dealing with epilepsy and everything like that. So now we ended up had to hold 4 events in 2020 to make sure that people got their genetics, their plants and clones, so they can grow at home and they didn't have to leave. If you ended up having a child or somebody that dealing with the medical side, more than likely end up being of higher risk if you end up contracting this. For the rest of us that are pretty healthy, we're okay. We end up getting some sickness, but besides that, the at-risk ones are the ones that are really like that, which ends up being a much smaller percentage. But with the medical cannabis field, that's a huge percentage if you think about it. So the good thing that it ended up being about the cannabis industry as well is that we tend to stay at home anyway. We tend to be kind of hermits. So it's like, it kind of, but we still needed new genetics. And we ended up holding 4 events in 2020, because we had to make sure that people had their genetics. Because you can come to one Gene Traders, have genetics for the entire year. But if you go weekly to a dispensary for 1 year, that's 52 times that you had to go outside and do shit.
So, first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for your service. Flat off, right off the top, thank you for your service, brother. Secondly, thank you for choosing cannabis as your outlet. As far as things to help yourself with, pretty awesome there as well. I love the whole idea of what you got going here. Uh, I did my time selling some seeds as a rep here for Subcool in Michigan,
No
and
shit.
I've made a lot of journeys. I know exactly what you're talking about. People want genetics, good fire strains, but especially back when I was doing it, the only way then was to either meet me or do it through the mail because we weren't even friggin' PayPal or stuff like that at that point, man. So and I totally understood, the leeriness of sending somebody money in the mail and then hoping they're going to return and send stuff out for you. So I was always open to, make that travel. I didn't care. I love meet people. I love meet people in the cannabis industry if they wanted to meet. But we needed a storefront. We always wanted. The idea was to have some kind of storefront where people could just walk in and take care of business. We had events, you know, high times and shit like that. That's the only reason, other than socializing, that's genetics is the only reason I go. And it's like a race at the door, man. If you ain't there on the first day and run to like what you've already got in your head, what you want, there's a chance you may miss out. And a lot of times at that, it was you may have scored your genetics, but half the time, the guys at the breeders, the people doing the work, weren't making no fucking money because the high times were fucking ass raping them about how much it was for a booth. I mean, you had to have some good days to really make your money back to pay for that booth, the travel, and all that shit. So I think it's awesome. Somebody like yourself's putting together something just geared right towards genetics, not all the bullshit, getting people together. And, focus is nothing but seeds and, clones and stuff. That's important. That's what it's all about. And, I like it too. I mean, honestly, I believe you could have one in each state like 4 times a year, not just once, just for the type, because I almost view it. I've yet to been. I missed the last one here in Michigan. I know you got one coming up. I'm hoping to come then, but I kind of see it as each event a chance to score something new. You know what I mean? We're always looking for something new, and we've always got that. Oh, I want if I can ever get the hold of that, I want that. So if there's like 4 times a year where it could be Christmas and you get that strain, kind of worth the trip.
Totally. Listen, I run into things that I'm like, you got that weird. Like, oh, people like it's wild. Like, it's great. You know what it is too? Like what you were mentioning, there's a few types of events out there. There's the competition type, there's the business type. And then there's the here's mad free weed and dab type, right? We decided to cut all that out and only deal with the genetics and related, cultivation, like, products. But most of the time we just keep it to like genetics. We have people that end up being like cloning companies, testing companies, as far as like dealing with pathogens and all that stuff to make sure you get, sexing, just some like companies, nutrient companies, because even the big ones are even paying attention that craft growers, small growers buy way more equipment, nutrients, material than any big company by far. And now they're just coming to that realization and they're changing their model now to actually pay attention more to the craft grower, the home grower, because now they're seeing like, yo, the big growers are limited. They buy, 100 lights one time every like 5 years. That's not big sales, but you can end up getting easily like 200 people to buy one light every year. Like that's already more than that. But the cutting out all that shit and just dealing with straight genetics uh is incredibly like just amazing. Something that people end up doing too is that they use it as a meeting space. You might end up knowing somebody that you have been sending seeds and genetics back and forth for years that have never met. And now you get to like actually meet at the event for the first time and like, yo, and like you say, finding that gem that you never thought you would find again.
That experience is gold right there, because that's one of my other favorite event parts about going to these events is talking one-on-one with the breeder, because there's a lot of times they're working on something, they're not ready to release or talk about, you know what I mean? You get them talking about, what you can expect from this strain, and you kind of nonchalant, like, what are you working on? What you excited about? And they're like, oh, I got, some of this shit. You can see that fire in their eye, and you're like, well, what about that? You know what I mean? Let's work on that, man. I like to stay ahead of the curve, and it's fun to deal one-on-one with that breeder like that. That's gold all in itself.
My favorite things too now have been, is the story behind the genetics. How it came to the this or that, how far the genetics might have traveled. It's some pretty wild stories. Yeah, it just I just can't get enough, honestly. Like I think I'm just addicted just to like, knowing about new genetics, growing new genetics, and just more about the plant and just more, just I don't know, just more. I can't soak in enough.
Man, those events are fucking they're definitely fuel for the batteries, man. Every time I meet one of them or meet up at some of these events, man, I'm charged up for a month or two about what I'm doing in my garden, talking to other people, that social interaction. So it's awesome. And and even what a better time to be doing it now. Some of these states that are just, opening their doors to cannabis, man. I, when I started doing it here, we were a few good years into Michigan, into it here in Michigan. But man, yeah, it'd be a good feeling for somebody like yourself coming into like a new state that fresh legal medical or rec, and at that point, man, you're pretty much fucking. They're loving to see you, man. Yes, please. Where are the fucking genetics? We've been waiting for this our whole lifetime.
Oh man, honestly, I didn't know what to expect, to be honest with you. Like we've been doing Gene Traders for 5 years, right? And we just expanded into Michigan. We just did our first New York one. We're about to do a new, a second Michigan on the 27th, and then we're about to actually go to Virginia too for the first time, July 25th, which is wild. I'll tell you something about Virginia in a second, but so we didn't know when we what to expect when we came to Michigan. We did not expect like the turnout and the love and the amount of wild genetics, and I didn't expect like so much like hash. Like I got ended up getting like a lot of hash. Like I was like, holy shit! Like damn, motherfuckers really love their hash out here. Yeah, man. So
That's
man.
a very true statement. We definitely love our hash in Michigan. At least I do. I definitely love my hash.
So yeah, it's really dope to like come to such a place too. I mean, Michigan, like sometimes I feel like I don't think Michigan is talked about enough as far as like how long, like how dope the medical program was. I say was because, I know that the state's going under an attack right now from these nutheads fucking, pushing against caregivers and shit. It's crazy. And you see now too, right? How California put out $100 million to help out the legal market in California because they're losing, against the unregulated market, the illicit market. I think it's just a simple facts though. It just points out to the one thing: their weed sucks. Retail, for the most part, retail weed is not as great as it most of it should be. Like it's pretty, like most people, if they want to get that super fire, they're gonna get it from somebody that grows it themselves. Like they're not gonna say, oh yeah, I get it from like the my corner, my corner like retail shop. I don't think it hasn't turned out like people think, and I think it's because it's the overregulation of that shit. It's just so ridiculous, so overtaxed, and what it's stopping is stopping innovation. It's actually working against it because these politicians and these greedy motherfuckers got it all wrong when it came to this. You can't force something that is not there within the industry. They try to really corral it like they wouldn't a lot of things with the market, but they're still forgetting that this is a plant and you can't force it. Like it just ends up being like oranges, right? Some year you got more, some year you got less, right? You gotta go by its flow. You can't force it to go to yours. And this is what they try to do with the cannabis industry. That's why they're running into horrible problems of not making what the projected, tax revenue, that they count on to pay their bills. Which, by the way, is so fucking stupid. How the fuck are you going to already count what money you don't even have? Like how irresponsible? Like this is just like normal government shit. What the fuck? Anyway, that's a whole. But yeah,
True though, very true words though. I mean, how do you fucking spend money you don't even have in your pocket yet, or is could be coming in 100%? It's scary shit. So, how hard is it to organize one of these things? I mean, it's got to be easier and easier as the name Gene Traders gets more and more known per from state to state. But is it are are you trying to assemble local genetics per state, or are you bringing guys across the country, great genetics from everywhere to these new states?
so that the first part ends up being the difficult part, right? It depending on the timing and depending on the state, we might be able to post the address. We might not be able to post the address. We might be able to smoke. We might not be able to smoke. We might be able to have seeds, and we might only have seeds and clones. So it all depends. Every time it's always a different scenario. And on top of that, we have to be able to find. It ends up being these underground networks of different venues, different clubs that might be used for either a sesh or depending on what it is. I've used different Elks clubs, VFWs, and always following within law because at the end of it, I'm not selling any weed. I'm not selling anything. So, and no weed is allowed to be sold at the event. No wax, no THC product, finished products at all. So everybody's just selling is seeds and clones. And the people that come are cultivators themselves, so they got plenty of weed. They don't want to. That's not what they're there for. Everybody ends up like just BYOB, bring your own bud. Um, and as far as the breeders, which that whole process like that to make sure too. One of the things I make sure that I always do, I always visit the venues and make sure that it's safe. Make sure I get a good vibe. Make sure because I want to make sure that it's safe for not just the vendors. It's also safe for the guests as well, because some of these guests are some of them are big time breeders that are just coming just to hang out and meet other people, and some of them are very very shy people that like to keep themselves. So they don't like to be in the public eye like that. Just want to get their their genetics and be out. And it's fine. Do whatever you want. Um, so I always make sure it's safe. And as far as genetics, I like to do a combination of both. I end up getting some of people that end up having more of a national brand of type of genetics to come in, and at least people have something familiar. But at the same time, I like to bring in local breeders and local people also too of all, so it might end up giving somebody like their first shot to like get on the scene, and something like that. I know for like AB Seeds, this is his first show, and his the little pendants, he was like, he told me like, I was like, dude, that's something I've never seen that before. I was like, run with it, bro. He destroyed it the first show, destroyed it. He's been like killing it ever since. Like, it's so cool to see people like, I was like, yo, look at the seeds in here. It's dope. So I mean, giving people the chance too, right, to put their genetics out, because at the end of the day too, if you put yourself out there and your genetics sucks, that's your reputation that you're ruining. That's like, you're only going to live but so long. The thing with, I ended up learning early on into the genetic side of the industry, is that respect is number one. Showing respect as far as who did it before you, the lineage, right? So and so did it, is very important. It's very simple, and I don't understand why people can't fucking do it. It's really upsetting. Like, yo, just say this person did it, and then you can end up working with whatever genetics you need to. You just got to show respect. Or this is don't steal people's pictures like, oh, I did this. No, you didn't. This person did. Show respect, right? From number one. And once you do that, it's a different industry. That's why it's much mellower than the rest of the industry, because it starts off that way. You have to come with respect. Like, you're a cultivator, I'm a cultivator. We looking to actually figure out what else we can actually grow out of these genetics, these new type of crosses, these new type of, terpene profiles that we're actually starting to get the science of and testing of, and like that. Sharing that knowledge, that's more important than anything else. I think that, leading with respect and sharing the knowledge, we can end up taking this, the genetic side to a totally different side than we could, we ever have before.
Got people in chat giving you, people who have been to the traders, giving you some respect in the chats there, my friend. As you talk about respect, you're getting some in chat currently.
Appreciate it.
So when was the first one? You said 5 years now. When was the first one, and how fucking nervous were you?
Well, so it's like, it's I was nervous. I did it at it was at the Tetra Hydro Club in Rhode Island, underground medical social club, which was I was already very familiar with the place, because I was already doing events there, dealing with the pharmacist. He hired me as an event producer because I already had prior experience dealing with events. So I ended up helping a few organize a few concerts, and I always do some kind of events to try to do something, and this one just happened to come about, and I was like, either it works, or if it doesn't, it doesn't. And immediately, like, I got a lot of interest about it, and the genetic side about it, because they're really, as far as with it, because Rhode Island was at the time, which was about 7 years ago, the California of the East Coast when it came to medical laws 7 years ago, where you can grow 12. Everybody was gonna end up selling your overages to the dispensaries. It was it was a good time. So everybody's always looking for new genetics. So it just happened to be at the right place at the right time, and it just continued from there. I can't say I've there weren't all hits, I mean, but I had my fair share of not good events, but most of them were really good, and they've always increased. We've always ended up sharing more genetics. We've always ended up either giving something out, or bringing more people together. I know somebody for sure. One of the coolest stories now that I like to tell is that two people met there and they fell in love. They got engaged to get married at a Gene Traders. I was like, no shit. They messaged me. I forgot to like screenshot it, but yeah, she was telling me that they met at Gene Traders and they kept in contact dealing with like growing. They got together and now they're engaged to be married. I'm like, I don't know if they got married yet, but I was like, if you guys want to get married at Gene Traders, I'll let you guys do it. I don't care.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. That's another thing too, man. The gratitude, the community comes to these events, man. Once people got a good rapport with, like say, with a breeder or somebody that they really like in the cannabis community, we usually go out of our way to like support them. You know what I mean? As far as like local events and stuff like that, it's I don't know. It's fun to like just like you said, go pick up some genetics and just kind of hang out with a friend. I could honestly see something like that happening. Meeting a few to your wife at something like this. Man, the people that do grow cannabis, it just brings a genuine passion out of you, man. It's life changing. I want when in a normal interview, I kind of lead up to at some point, when did that moment in cannabis kind of change your life? We kind of got that with the military thing here, but it's all almost 100% of the time. Yeah, it started out your kid, you used it, made you feel good. A lot of times at some point, as we got older, maybe an injury or something like that, we started using it, got a medical card. And even at that, they may have been using it as a medicine, but getting it from a dispensary, something like that. But when you throw them fucking seeds in the dirt, throw that clone in under a light, things change, man. Things fucking change. It isn't weed anymore. This is fucking, you see the bigger picture. And it just starts with that first initial grow. And it grows, I mean, it grows in you. And then it makes you want to do nicer things for people in the community, just be a nicer person. It makes you want to learn. You know what I mean? How can I fucking make this better? You know what I mean? Fucking once you open up that organic store, shit, those, I mean, it's completely a life changing experience. At that point, man, I've definitely you know, changed a lot since I've opened that door for sure. But man, it's an amazing plan. And like I said, man, it's awesome that you're giving these people a chance to get these gardens started. That's the key, man. Before I feel like recreational goes through and gets legalized, yeah, I'm happy about it. We need to get these gardens going. So once it is there, they don't try to take that shit away from us because we got a bunch of people growing and are passionate about it. We ain't gonna have that shit. We ain't taking it back at that point. So, and when I was on my seeded journey, man, that's a lot of times after I made that adventure and that journey to make drop off them seeds. The story I got on the other side of the impact it was gonna make on them was it was like, man, I felt guilty most days driving away. I was like, man, the gratitude I just got from just dropping off some seeds and shit, was gonna help change their lives, man. So this is awesome, man. I greatly appreciate you helping other not just get genetics out there, but get people going. Lady, get those beginners out there going and actually going with some quality shit, being able to meet the breeder and stuff like that. That's shout out to you, brother. It's really cool what you got going.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I don't want to be like I'm some fucking saint either. Like, uh, I ended up coming to that, seeing that it was a need, right, as far as for genetics. But it was later on in the years that I ended up actually like really truly coming to the realization that it was more than that, like much much more than just trying to get genetics out there, because a lot of these big events end up getting something out there. But that networking, that kind of like connection to the plant and sharing that with other people that actually do have that connection to the plant is something totally different. I know that I went from popping 2 bag seeds. Um, one was electric lemon G, and I forgot what the other one was. I ended up running into all kinds of problems. I ended up getting mites, gnats, I had the works. I was like, all right, cool. I kind of got the thing down. I went from 2 to like 20. And it just like, you know, I just ended up learning even more, like, cause it just ended up, I got males, I got like, it was just that process and experience of just like fucking it up. That like, you know, be like, people tell me, how you learn how to grow? It's like, just do it. You do it, you fuck it up, you learn, you keep going. You know, you might end up getting some advice from people here and like that, but it's always a journey. And something that I learned too is like, you know, when I started asking, like, you know, all right, is this water that I'm giving this plant clean? It wasn't too much longer before I started asking myself, am I drinking clean water? Am I drinking organic food? Am I eating organic food? Am I, you know, breathing clean air? What's the humidity here? Why is my signs like, is the humidity right? I started thinking about myself at the same time, and because of the plant, now I'm taking better care of myself, because I needed those things to connect the dots in order to have that train of thought to really, like, you know, they always say too, you know, you can take better care of yourself, but this is what led me to take care of better of myself. Because of the plants, I started taking that route.
You know, I jokingly say that it's not that uncommon. It's not on that uncommon. But I think it's funny though, the journey that we go on to start taking better care of our plants, and then all of a sudden we're like, ah, fuck, we can do this and make ourselves healthy too. You know, it seems like, you know, that's where it should have started, but somehow along the way, whatever. At least we're getting back there, right? That's the important part. That's uh,
Realizations, you know. So yeah, you know, sometimes it might be something weird that triggers a piece of memory or that aha moment. You never know, but for me, it ended up being the plant that did it for me. And you know, I'm not the only one. Um, it's quite a trip that, um, and you know, the thing about that this fighting of home grow is just so ridiculous, because they're trying to control it so much for the purposes of trying to get like as much tactile as they could, but by doing that you're actually restricting it from actually happening by going after home growers. Like, so what, let him grow his 12 plants, like what the hell. Matter of fact, I don't think there should be any limit, in my opinion. Like, if you know what matters ends up right, like anything else, if you end up being a home brewer, a beer ends up being, ultimately, if you continue to sell beer, a whole bunch of beer, you know, they're gonna come get, there's either the tax man or the alcohol license, like, yo, you can't sell that much without not paying your, like that. That's exactly what's supposed to happen. Well, why can't it be the same thing with cannabis, right? As the second you start selling something is when you have to start paying said taxes. But if you're not selling it, or it's less a certain amount, like, you know, you really think that they end up, you know, taxing all those people at this farmers market that are selling all that stuff or produce on the side, or this or whatever they're selling at the or the flea market? You think those people are really getting taxed like that? So at a certain point, you're gonna get the notice, right? And yeah, you should expect to pay taxes. Why not, right? You want to play in that game, that's most likely like that, or not, or you can end up, you know, Al Capone that shit and just continue on till they get you. And I'm talking about like the base guy. I'm not talking about the guy that's just growing in the basement, the closet grower. I'm not talking about that person. Those people can grow as much as they want. And honestly, when it comes to competitions, as far as any competition, the one that I'm always rooting for is the closet grower that can barely make the weigh in. That's the one I want to win, because that changes that person's life. That for real, for real. But yeah, I root for the little guy always.
we have that in common too, man. We have that in common too. I'm very on the record for rooting for the misfit, the little guy. You know, even in the genetics, man. I've got some strains right here. I got one little girl right there. She was the runt, and she's, you know, I don't give up on that. I could have pulled her out. You're not as vigorous as the rest of them, but I'm telling you what, glad I kept her, because she's the stinkiest bitch, and she's only in beds right now. And I was deleafing her today, and She's loud. She's loud. I'm glad I didn't give up on her. Super glad I didn't give up on her. But yeah, I support the underdog too.
That's what's up. Actually you just brought up something kind of like interesting that uh I ended up talking to one of the breeder friend of mine and ended up being about that we might be going at this hunting process all wrong, right? Like you just said right there that your runt is the stinkiest one there. And what we end up kind of gently hunting for is usually structure because we're trying to see how much it can end up possibly weigh. But at the end of the day, if uh, that runt could test for something or totally different or super high, that the rest of them aren't even close. But often those runts are killed. So those are also lost genetics at the same time. Same thing with the males too. When we kill the males, those are lost genetics. Like it's important to recognize. I still don't know of any kind of way to even try to be able to save this, like that. I mean, shit.
Tissue culture. It could be tissue culture and a lot of this shit if it ever comes to like a feasible means. Just dropping some leads and slapping it into a fridge and coming back to it later. Hopefully, we get to that point somedays.
So the very interesting thing that I learned about tissue cultures was that the agar that's actually at the bottom is custom made for the most part. And the people that usually custom make it, they don't like sharing what their recipe is. And this is exactly like across the whole industry that uses tissue cultures. If you're doing corn, apples, anything, any kind you're doing tissue culture with, it might be slightly different for this one or that one. And those companies do not share what their recipe is with anybody. There's always like a base, but there's different levels to each one to add to it, and you got to actually, like, the way it's made is you got to actually like make it live, on spot, and then you got to actually pour it into each thing like once it's finished done like cooking or whatever. I still don't know that part, which I'm really interested in getting into, but from everything, all the research I'm doing and even talking to some people, they don't like sharing the recipe. So it's a little bit that, like, I want it to be that way, that I could just order something and just like be able to do my thing specifically just for cannabis, so I can end up actually storing genetics for like 2 years down the line, and I can end up working on other stuff. Like, it'll be a lot easier, because if not, I mean, it's difficult keeping mothers, like the library builds up. I mean, people give me plants all the time. Like, can you imagine, like, everybody just constantly giving you stuff? Like, you're like, oh, then this and that. And I'm like, oh my God, like, where am I going to keep all these? It's crazy. Very stressful.
Yeah, I can't wait till, because right now we're, like you said earlier, we're limited by fucking numbers that are so stupid. You know what I mean? It'd be nice if we could kind of go like Oklahoma a little bit unlimited. If you're willing to pay for it, it's worth whatever you're fucking paying for it. But you know, theoretically, I love popping seeds. I love to do the pheno hunting. But you're right, man. Because of numbers, it'd be nice to just, okay, I ran this one out a couple times. I'm gonna fucking put you in a petri dish and just have like a refrigerator, like open it up, and just be like two. In my case, I want a two-handed refrigerator too.
Oh, you know what I want?
Just open it up, nothing but genetics.
That's all. I want that to look like the Jurassic Park ones, like the little tubes. Definitely, man. Yeah, it's
thousands
tough.
of strains.
It's tough because so much time putting into finding these, like, pheno hunting these things. Oh my God, yo! And then all of a sudden, like, it's a disaster, man. It's a disaster.
I do appreciate your outlook on, how long it actually does take to, give a strain a fair weight, it has to, in my opinion, it has to show some good shit first round, worthy of running it out a few times. But before I got into selling seeds and stuff like that, I I was a seed tester. You know what I mean? So uh, a lot of times, some breeders would want their fucking report first round. I want pictures and fucking report first round. I'd be like, dude, it's it's you don't get a fair assessment first round. There's shit that comes out round two. I mean, one more round two, even three, like you said, is a fair judgment of what the plant accurately is gonna be. I mean, you're not first round. You're assuming a lot of bullshit, and there's still a lot of shit to be. So I always drag my feet. I never gave my report until round two. I'd always bitch and whatever, but I'm like, you've sent me a task. You want me to do it correctly, or you want me to do a half-ass job? You get my report round two, brother. Sorry.
It's really, yeah. You just can't, because I mean, even with advice, like it still takes two, like with no advice it takes 3 or 4, like just to really know. But that, yeah, it's I, I've gone through a lot of stuff, and I got things indoors and outdoors, and I love doing outdoors. It's a challenge, especially like I'm in the New England areas, and it's a challenge, bro. It's a challenge outdoors, but I like it. I like the challenge. I like dealing with battling the environment. I like dealing with battling pests, from deers to chipmunks, and it's wild too. Dealing with the environment, dealing with like torrential downpours, and like right before a harvest, just screwing everything up. Just, I love the challenge of cultivating outdoors. And this is why too, like I mentioned, that we're going to Virginia. Now when it comes to climate, right, Virginia is kind of equal to where Humboldt County is, just in the opposite side of the country. As far as like, the western side of Virginia, was a lot of hillside, could potentially be another like Humboldt County, but when the East Coast. It's going to be, now that they legalized and they're allowed to grow 4 pieces, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens out in Virginia.
Yeah, I'm excited about the new grows and geographic areas too. Because as we know, pheno hunting is all about the environment. So if you're popping seeds over there on the East Coast, there's a good chance you could pop out something that nobody else is going to find. So, yeah, I love it. I'm so stoked about this day and age of cannabis. I never thought we'd be here. I mean, 20 years ago, 20 years ago, I was hoping we weren't quite there yet. But even there, I didn't think it was happening 20 fucking years ago. But wow, I do feel blessed to be even a small part about what's going on. So it is a great time to be alive and cultivate. So, what has been some of the fire genetics have you've seen come through there? Have you seen, like you said, have you seen some of them ones that are like very coveted strains? What are some of the best clones you've seen come through Jagers there?
Oh
As
man.
far as hype.
Oh, I mean, for me, for me, it's different for me. Because I've been like, I love like the different cannabinoids, but I love the really like nasty tasting ones, like cat piss, like dumpster fire, like those really raunchy, rotten ones like that. Because I think they're more unique. I don't want everything to taste like gas, everything like tastes like petrol, like it's just all the same shit to me. Like you only can get with so much of that one flavor. But as far as for hype, currently, like anything dealing with like runts, white runts, pink runts, Obama runts, everything over runts. Everybody's all over it right now. Gary Payton had a little bit of hype, but there's mixed messages about how she ends up actually putting out. Um, uh, that's pretty much like, and now it ends up being about people going after specific breeders, right? Like trying to figure out which ones they're going for and who's bringing what to the certain industry. And like with the one I just did in New York, um, because it was New York, so something I ended up finding out, depending on what part of the region you end up coming from, you prefer to grow different things, right? Um, Strangely enough, the East Coast and New England tend to gravitate towards longer flowering genetics, those type of flavors, sour diesels, hazes, right? Those things end up taking longer in flowering time. Now, versus what most people tend to go for, end up being that 2 week. Um, you go up to Michigan and you guys end up liking a lot more of the hash plant type of side. You go down to the Caribbean and they like a lot of fruit. They like the mangoes, they like the pineapples. They really like that sweeter side, the lavenders, the roses, like, and of course Cali's got the OGs, the Kushes, and it's really interesting to see like when a new type of a breeder comes in, how they kind of gravitate to like, oh, I haven't done this in quite a bit. But with New York, like Top Dog Seeds ended up like killing it because he has a lot of haze coming in New York, so he was just like just destroying it at New York. So I'm really interested to see what happens coming up in Michigan, because I have some really good people. I got Third Coast, I got Fresh Coast, I got Tiki's gonna end up having some people there. I got Masonic say he's gonna end up making an appearance, which is crazy. Like he ended up saying the wrong date, which is kind of funny, yo. Yeah, so Michigan coming up is going to be quite a scene of just exchange of genetics. And not just that too, we still don't even know what this one guy that happened to have, I don't know, this type of thing, some original, I don't know, chocolate tie or Maui Wowie or sour diesel or something that he's had in his closet forever and happens to bring it out and like bring it to another guy that who knows, right? Like that connection and the way it ends up leaving and how much ends up being cultivated because of it years down the line is I'm not quite sure how to quantify that part.
That is true. That what happens there could be the start of the next fire stream, as you pointed out, that trade. You know what I mean? It could be beginning of something, not just a marriage, but I guess the next marriage in cannabis, the next cross there. I bet you in that aspect, I bet you've been responsible for a lot of a lot more marriages than you think in the plant world.
Oh, I hear about it. Rekindled old partnerships, new projects, new, life to companies, just these weird, just wild connections, it's pretty crazy to think about all these crossroads that just happen to meet just right here at this genetics portion of the industry. And it's a small community. It's still a small community. And I like that. But it's so important. So important.
A lot of great Michigan, not it, Michigan in itself, not just because I'm here, but it's a pretty great cannabis community all in all, man. We got a lot of great people, from growers to breeders to, the commercial end of it. Pretty decent folks across the board there. So I'm kind of curious. Um, I'm kind of curious. You kind of said big guys, little guys there. So are the like say the commercial cultivators there? Are they where are they headed when they get there? Are they just trying to track down that hype, what's being talked about right now? Or are they actually kind of being optimistic on some of these more littler guys,
They
and
go,
what they're putting out?
they're going after the hype, and if they run across some fire from a little guy, then they run across some fire from the little guy. But they're chasing the hype.
That's what I'm afraid of. That was the answer I was afraid of.
But that's the thing, though, right? Uh, with chasing the hype, you're always chasing it. You never, ever, 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 ever stop. You're not realizing that that little guy could have a fire that could have you straight for the next like 3 to 5 years, right? They're just chasing the hype. So chasing a hype could end up having to be 2 to 3 times a year. Once a year, you go like that. But that's still right. Chasing a hype for a big one is not as quick as they like, because they get that genetics there, right? And then they got to make it, they got to actually cultivate it. It's much slower for them, so by the time it's actually out in the store, it's no longer the hype. So don't feel too bad about them chasing a hype, because by the time they actually get in there, it's not even the hype anymore.
That's an awesome perspective. That's an awesome perspective.
Timing, it's just about, it's the timing a bit. Be like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. By the time they're like, it ain't even hot anymore, it's all right, whatever. And that's what happens too, because this is actually an issue of the actual legal industry. The regulated industry is dealing with genetics, because a lot of them end up being so specific as to where they can actually get their genetics from. It actually does hurt them as far as being on the leading edge of what's hot, along good stable, and along with what's hot, because of the process they have to follow. Now, most states say that you actually have to get it from a licensed breeder, right? But it's the same license to cultivate. So if you get a cultivation license, you generally end up just cultivating flower and just selling the flower. You're not really making seeds. Even still, even if that one person end up making seeds, you're only getting seeds from one breeder. One. It's a lot of flavor out there to only deal with one. Don't get me wrong. I like my breeders. I got my fans of this and one like that, but to just be only one, that's pretty limiting, right? And even still, like, a lot of them don't do it per states. So now you're left with, how else can I bring in genetics, right? If nobody else ends up actually breeding it. And with certain states, they're allowed to be able to actually getting them from caregivers. So a legal, and like, for example, in Michigan, a licensed cultivation facility can actually buy genetics from a caregiver, which is really funny, because these licensed cultivation and dispensaries and the retail shops are actually attacking the caregivers, which happens to be one of their only ways to actually get genetics into their facilities, unless they end up illegally bringing them in. Which starts raising the question is, how do you have the hype strain that's only available in California, Colorado, or a Gene Traders event that you're not supposed to be at? How is that in your cultivation facility? Are you breaking some rules? And I understand why they're doing it, because they have to, because the system that is built for them doesn't allow them to actually be able to replenish their genetics. And this is another reason why Gene Traders is needed for them. But it's very interesting as to, like, don't attack the one place that you can actually get your genetics from.
It seems like ultimately, when you're talking about it on this level, it's a business. You know what I mean? Flat out, at that end of it, it's a business. And to limit what you can take in, and you always want something to leverage against the better you against the other guy. So why limit your intake is pretty much shooting yourself in the foot from the beginning. You know what I mean? That's the way I see that. I mean, if you can't take in new fire, I mean, you're good luck to you. I mean,
And I've and because I deal with genetics, right, and gene traders, I've talked to a few cultivators, right, and I tell them, I was like, what do you guys? I was like, let me ask you something. Like, you guys are all these meetings and stuff like that. What are you guys thinking? Like, you guys are attacking the one people that you guys can actually get genetics on. What are you guys thinking? Like, oh, it's not us. But I was like, yeah, but if none of you guys actually speak out publicly, then what's happening? You guys are letting other people sink your ship. Like, speak up. But if we speak up, then they'll, potentially blah blah blah. And I understand it's a business, but because it's a business, and I understand this about branding, right? Because I used to work for a branding agency. If you don't stand for something, you just kind of like doing that middle of the fence thing, people are going to remember that. I know I remember. Like, I need to know, do you stand with the cultivators or the caregivers, or you stand with them that are trying to limit that, and have no idea that if you do that, you're going to hurt yourself. You're doing it and you don't even know what you're doing to yourself. Look what's happening with California now. They hurt themselves, and now they're like, oh, please, we'll give $100 million to rescue the cannabis industry because they're hurting so badly. Why? Because you ruined it with regulations.
it's, they forget that they were on this side of the table. They were on the side of the table. Now they were here, and not only that is the caregivers helped them through their fucking rough time. You know what I mean? When they couldn't get their shit set up, we were here to let them, take in our hard work and resell it to, keep their stuff going. And I mean, how do they even expect to get experienced cultivators coming into there? I mean, where do you get quality people as far as employees if you're going to go on a larger scale if you have nobody out there learning how to actually cultivate? You know what I mean? I would think you would want people learning and have some type of experience before you come into your facility or whatnot. I don't know. It's just it's bullshit what they're trying to turn their backs on us the way they have here. There's room for everybody. I mean, seriously. And most people, I can already see, like you said, once it makes that switch and they push us out, people don't realize they're going to end up with 10, 11 strains. Or this, all this fire, it's going to be gone. It's going to be gone. They pull out all the caregivers.
Hey, maybe they shouldn't have painted themselves in a corner. Literally painting themselves in a corner. Like, honestly, and I warned them. I told them, I was like, you guys realize what's happening. You guys ain't doing anything about it. Like, it's like when you guys end up being stuck, like you guys, I told them, I was like, you guys are going to have to wait until I open a freaking an actual physical location where you guys can actually end up picking it up, because you guys are doing yourselves a disjustice. And you're not just that, but leave the caregivers alone. Like, it's like, you want people to buy more of your stuff, have better product. It's not that difficult. It really isn't. A lot of times it ends up being, and not everybody, that people don't want to go to retail shops or dispensaries because they have mostly subpar products. Like, why? At top level prices? Because, I mean, for that, I could go go deal with a guy that's just selling me some mids in a Mylar bag and keep it moving. Like, what the hell? Like, they're doing the same thing, except the dude on the corner is charging less. The same thing. For that, grow your own. Leave people be. You already took the whole thing with selling the overages. Fine, whatever. But now, let it go. Or, well, you know what? Whatever. There are a whole bunch of grown-ups. Let them make the mistakes, I say.
I couldn't believe it. I was talking with a couple of gentlemen yesterday that went to their first experience with the recreational market here. And they said that basically everything was like color coded, mids, lows, mids. And he's like, man, we gotta we got a half ounce of this. It was the blue sticker, which they said was the low grade, and he said he paid 110. I think he thought it was 110. He ended up paying 130, and they paid $40 in tax on top of that. And he said it was friggin' garbage. I can't believe what we walked out of there with. He said he actually thought it was like a bait and switch. He's like, man, I'm not even sure if that was what I pointed out, man. To be honest with you, grow your own. Same shit. Grow your own. Hopefully, you got your stuff out. You still got time. Is basically what I told him.
I'll be honest with you. I think about the only thing that I might be comfortable buying from like a dispensary or a retail shop ends up being like an edible because it's made with like distillate. So that's it. Like that's about. But as far as for flower, or in the rare occasion that they have some like full melt bubble rosin, rare occasion. But ends up being like 120 a gram or 130 a gram, which if it's full melt 6-star melt ball like that, honestly, yeah, I'm willing to pay that because that's it's a lot of work. That's a lot of material that goes into making that too. Like people don't understand like, oh, that's expensive. Like, yeah, but you know how much that material had to make that? Like that's a lot of material to make that 1 gram of freaking bubble full melt too.
Every time I got a 20-gallon machine, every time I fire that thing up, I'm looking at 14 hours, 12 to 14 hours when I fire up that machine. And by the time I'm done, there's probably more hash to be gotten. And I'm like, fuck that shit. I am just done. I'm done. I still got to wash the machine. I'm done.
It's crazy. Yeah, man. I mean, have you ever, through all that, have you ever taken it afterwards and just kind of like just laid it out, dried it out, and then like pressed it?
Actually, I haven't. It breaks my heart to see it pressed, to be honest with you.
But if you're already destroying, like, you're not doing anything else with it, right?
Oh, I'm smoking the shit out of it.
Oh, no
I
shit.
actually I keep it. Yeah, I got like, I got a little bottle of some good bubble hash right here. Well, I had, for the longest time, the last wash, I had a jar like this,
Oh, no,
full of bubble that sat right here.
No, not press hash. No. I don't mean pressing the hash. I mean pressing like with the material, right? The flour material. To like once you finish laying it out and then drying it out and then trying to press it. Have you ever tried that? That's what I meant. Not the bubble hash, not the hash.
No, I haven't. No. It's one of those things, Al. I love the rosin, but I don't have time or space. You can only master so many things, and that's why when we talk about that dispensary stop, that's usually why I'm there, is to get some some nice rosin or something like that. So I can't do here myself. I don't even usually walk by that flower.
Yeah, man. Like, I'm like, it's like, oh, like if I have to, like, I ended up like, if I end up, I went to Vegas and I had to, I was like, I was like, so it was crazy, right? So I have nothing else but to let my nose lead me, right? Because obviously they're not gonna let me like taste it or nothing like that, right? So I'm like good, like I'm smelling, and something hits me and say, "Ooh, that one right there." So she goes back, blah blah. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not supposed to be for sale. Yeah, I'm like, but it was. Why not just give it to me? And she and everything. No, it's just everything else. I'm like, nah. I knew like everything else sucks. Sure enough, everything else did suck. Burned black, like black, dude. Like it burned black. It gave me a headache. Like I was like, yo, this is unbelievable. Fucking dispensaries, man.
So you have Michigan on the 27th. I see a lot of people in chat are super stoked about that. Uh, When is what are some of the other events you have coming up? What are some of the other states that people can expect to see one of your events?
So after June 27th in the state of Michigan, the Mitten. Um, we're doing July 25th will be in Virginia, in Richmond, Virginia, which is actually really cool because it's close enough to DC. So we're gonna end up getting a lot of people coming down from DC area. We know DC's been legal for a while, but Congress stopped them from actually having an actual industry. Is that you can have legal but no commercial sales at all, which is kind of fucked up, even though they voted on it. So it is what it is. But they're now, their neighbors, Virginia, ended up legalizing, and I'm pretty sure now because of that, you're going to see a lot of people from DC move into the Virginia, state as well. That's July 25th. After that, we're going to be doing August 1st. We're going to be going to the New England region. Either we're going to be in Massachusetts or Rhode Island. And then August 15th, we're going to be in upstate New York. We just did one in New York City, May 30th. So this time we're going to go to upstate New York. It's a big state. So we got same thing with all the big states. We kind of got to do them in like opposite sides. That's what we're kind of doing with the Michigan one. We did it on the western side of the state. Now this one we're going to be in the eastern side of the state because it's a big state. We got it. We can't keep it just in one location. We were looking for something like in the Lansing area to kind of peek in the middle like that, but we couldn't find anything.
I actually wanted, that was the reason why I didn't hit the last one, man. It was a 3-hour cruise for me for the last one. I was like, because everybody was wanting me to go. I was like, it ain't gonna be that long. It's gonna be I'm gonna be on the road all day long, man. But it's awesome the way that the thought plan on that, making it a little bit easier for everybody each time you hear. So is there any plans for the people on the West Coast are like, man, what about us in Washington in particular?
So I've been trying to figure out, my team is trying to figure out dealing with the West Coast as far as trying to hold an event out there. And as far as dealing with like 2020, obviously it's been very difficult to like actually find, a place out there that was open. And now things are opening back up. So we're trying to, seek a venue and actually like get something going. And once we're able to, we will. Of course, the West Coast is very big as to where to hold it, when to hold it, because obviously like if you're dealing with the fire seasons, we don't want to hold it somewhere where everything's covered with ash, because if you're talking about plants, so we got to think about the environment too. I know somebody wanted me to come out to Las Vegas and they offered me their parking lot. I was like, how hot is it right there right now? I was like, oh, it's only like 95. It's like, all right, what's the humidity? Like, it's like almost nothing, bro. Like, it's straight heat. I'm like, dude, that's not good for plants. I can't have all these plants in a parking lot like that, bro. Like, I need to be like inside. So I have to think about the plants as well, too, which is like part of the process of actually finding a place. But listen, we've been trying to find venues and it's difficult because not having somebody on the ground and dealing with the communication either with like emails or like that and the intermediators, because like again trying to find a place is difficult because you're dealing with like an underground network that one guy talks to one guy that talks to one guy. Like the same thing kind of like old school used to with the genetics. This guy knows this guy that knows this guy that could get you some seeds. That's kind of like what I have to play now with, trying to find venues. And so our motto is like, as far as gene traders, we're always looking for venues. We're always looking for venues. Listen, like I have people asking me to go to places like Texas. I'm like, bro, like Texas is not there yet. And I mean, we're some sneaky motherfuckers, but it's tough.
We've already got volunteers in chat saying I will help if I can.
Hit up the DM. Let us know, man. We're always looking for places. You know, if you can smoke, great. If you can't, just to let you know, they're just gonna smoke outside. It doesn't matter. Like but like, oh, there's no smoking. So I was like, okay, fine, but understand, they're just. It doesn't even with the conventions in the big cities that they're not supposed to. They're just smoking right up front. Like they're not gonna care. They're just going to smoke right up front. It's like just be aware of that. Oh, you sure you can't stop them? It was like, no, I can't stop them. They're just gonna do it regardless. Or if not, they're gonna do it in the parking lot. They're going to do it. Is what I'm trying to tell you. Might as well let them smoke inside.
So yeah, I honestly think this is like something that seriously does it. It's got to build for you like every time you're somewhere. You know what I mean? The experience, good experience, the other breeders, the all vendors that show up there have got to be like, man, next time around you got to be hitting this gene traders, man. It's fucking good experience. So I would imagine it's got to get easier and easier every time you pop in, both to get venues and other people involved. I would think it would, seems like it's a pretty good thing going here, man. I would like to see you take it nationwide, to be honest with you. Like I said, man, it's critical that people find the gear. People still, even though it's getting closer and closer to legalization, don't like to make that paper trail. Don't like to make that click. You know what I mean? There's still trails, and people are still nervous of that kind of shit, even though there is a legality to it. You know what I mean? There's still that stigma of, oh shit, it's bred into us. Even myself, it's been legal for me for a long time. I honestly fucking abuse it. I smoke out in public. There's a lot of times, like I head out to the Walmart. There's been times I smoke like a cigarette to the door. Bling. I'm going in. But there's other times, I see a cop and I've been smoking or something. I get a little nervous. It's still ingrained that deep. So there's people that would rather be there and come do it in person. That's you, my friend. So I'm glad you're still offering that as an option, because I'm here to tell you, man, I put in that work. 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 When I worked with Subcool, that, like I said, that was ultimately what we wanted, was storefront, multiple places up and down the state, one here, one there. So, we had, that was honestly the plan. One east side, one west side, one downstate, one up north. Fucking boom, done. But people to this day are still fucking afraid to fucking have a seed stocked, right there for people to walk up and buy. When I did this, man, he wanted me to like work on the dispos. I'm like, man, that's counterproductive. They ain't gonna sell your shit. And even if they do, it's gonna be in the back shelf where, I went when I started this. I went to grow shops. Grow shops. Ultimately, I'm like, man, you should have your fucking shit right above the bags of dirt. You know what I mean? That's where your menu should be. But nobody, I could never get none of them to get on board. You know, best I could ever get was like, hey, can I set up a table here? I got, you know what? I stole that right from the fucking Girl Scouts. Boom. I fucking seen that shit one day. I seen a fucking Girl Scout outside of fucking my local grocery store. I'm like, huh, yeah. Next day, I went to a local grocery store. I'm like, so what do you think about me? I know you can't sell seeds. I know you don't want, but what about you think about me? Like, we'll like advertise this, and I'll sit here at a table, once a month or something like that, like a Girl Scout and shit. And they're like, all right. That's what I did for a minute. It was fun.
That's a good one.
But I'm glad there's people like yourself, so man, they're out there willing to stand there, talk about what they're doing, and sell some gear, because again, people need it, they want it firsthand, and there's such a risk. Still the mailman don't people, seeds get snagged in the mail all the time. There's, you don't know who you're dealing with on the other end. There's something about looking at somebody, looking at eye to eye, talking about what they're doing, and you could get a feel. I've had that conversation with breeders and seen like, what about this one? You could see it in their eye, like, oh, that one's not really fire. You're like, all right, yeah. What about this one? The eyes open up. Okay, yeah. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I hope you do, man. I hope you're able to put one, at some point be able to do it in all 50.
I'm trying, actually there's a few places I definitely want to do. Actually, not just not all the 50, like, but people, Canada has asked me like a lot. And now too, Mexico has actually asked me as well to actually hold gene traders down there. And obviously, like, with everything like that, I'm interested in some of these, southern genetics that are down in South America that we don't have up here, that they've been keeping them to themselves for a very long time. And these are the ones that ended up like developing outside. So they've got this like land race type of like, thing too, which is really, really interesting. The also, of course, getting some of those classic, like from the location, like I would love a Maui Wowie from Hawaii, going to Hawaii, and actually somebody gave me like a evolve over time and shit.
Got to be an amazing experience for you too to be a go out, heading from state to state, meeting these breeders, collecting. I know if I were you, I'd have a nice little fucking vault going. Also fire shit for the future. If nothing else, just a library. I'm a vault keeper. I like to go to these events just to collect some seeds. I got some stuff that may not even see the light of the day, but I like to seize opportunities. You never know when you're going to get a good opportunity. So.
Definitely. I have a good vault. I've been developing over the years, like trying to figure out, like what I want to, and I still haven't fully, because I'm on the East Coast, and we still haven't fully all like that. So I haven't been able to actually like set up my, like a full like hunting lab and be able to like really get into it. And of course, doing the whole tissue culture so I can build a library. Like I'm dreaming of it. I have all these seeds and all this. I'm just dreaming of that day.
That's what I've talked to them about. It sounds like we have a lot of common ground here. So I've talked about if I were to go to Oklahoma at some point and work on that unlimited count, I'd be counterproductive for what everybody else is doing. Seriously, because like I said, I've got quite a case, and that's the fucking dream right there. Like you're talking is having, you know, I'd be worried about popping everything in that case. You tell me I got an unlimited count. That's first thing I'm first, man. I'm working on my unlimited library because after I got the unlimited library, I can do what the fuck I want after that
That's
point.
it. You good. You be like, what do you want? It's like, yeah. Oh man. One day, man. One day. I want to say that'd be a dream, that's like to try to build the biggest library ever. I mean, I know a lot of people have been working on it too, but a living library, that's the difference. Having a living library.
That's Breeder Steve right now is kind of working on that tree. I
Yeah.
kind of thought about that too. I got much love and respect for Breeder Steve. But in the end, I think it's the perfect ploy for a breeder, to get what we're talking about, that fucking crazy library. So he's got the million, what is it, the million seed drop. So he's got a hunk of land and he's been dropping all these seeds. And at the end, when it's ready, he's trying to get it to where been working on it for a couple years. He wants to make it to where they're all flower at once. And then if you've sent some packs over there, you're automatically on the invite list to come back, when he's got it all done and walk through it all. But man, he's got a team of cats working on that shit. Data keeping stuff, and man, it's what a better way to build that library. He's got cats sending seeds, sending seeds, sending seeds, and if you're a breeder, man, you're looking for the ultimate strain. What a better way to collect.
You just need to put them out there, collect in, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Yeah. I'm dreaming of some of that, I can't, I just, you can never stop. I don't think, and I don't want to either. I don't want to find like, oh, I found the one. Here it is. Everybody, I found, like, I don't want that to happen. I don't think it ever will either. I don't think it ever will. There's too much variety for that to happen.
I'm with you. I hate that desert island strain question. If you could have the one, there isn't the one. I can't even keep the one now. I've been really happy and gotten high off a lot of shit that I've ever had, but it seems like every time I pop something, it's some level. I'm at a new plateau. I thought that was fire until I got this. So that keeps the train rolling, man.
Yeah, yeah. The good memories too is like, damn, do you remember that one you had? Yeah, that was pretty fire, yo. But yo, check out this bitch right here. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I don't think it's ever gonna be
Which have you had? I mean, we obviously have already stated we can't come across the one, but have you had what's have been some of your favorites so far?
I I ended up I ended up coming across LA Confidential one time, which was amazing. That one like ended up being what I ended up cultivating already for like about a year, 2 years. And that one ended up coming across for me like somebody ended up being somebody's extra. They didn't want it. Like you want it. I just happened to be in the room and he gave it to me. And by far like was just so phenomenally great, indoor, outdoor, put out weight, super dope high, like great flowering time. Like she was just killer across the board for that pheno. Like it was dope. And I lost that one and I haven't been able to come across that since. It's been a few years, but um Purple Chem, I love Purple Chem. I love Purple Chem. Like that chem taste that, just it's just so dope to me. Um I was stuck on the like the citrus side for a while with the tangies and the lemons, but now you can barely get me to smoke a lemon or a citrus and shit now. Like before I was all about it. Now I'm like, nah, I'm good. I don't really like it's all the same and they're not great producers and they don't wash ever. Like they're just like sheen, they don't wash at all. If somebody can bring me in front of me some like terpene, like lemon terpene, like orange terpene, like that, I'd be really impressed.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right there. It doesn't wash well, not at all. None of the citrus does. And people, you know, uh, hydrocarbon side maybe, but not on the bubble side. Man, it doesn't. There's low yield. There's on the bubble side.
Nope. It's end up as sheen. I think it's because, and I haven't confirmed this one, but I think it ends up being the trichome head membrane within the citrus ones are actually, I think they're thinner than the ones that we end up using for hash to be able to have a good wash. That's why I think they pop and they end up looking like this oily substance on top of the water instead.
Yeah, they're coming so close to being able to reclaim that shit and add it back in, through basically like a freeze dryer process, kind of drying it out naturally to a powder form, and then pressing it back in to the hash for like a full medicine type thing. But I've talked to a
Uh,
lot of people about that, because I'm not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but there's definitely a lot of being lost to it. I've heard of people making Kool-Aid of that water, which Yeah. If your plant's clean and you know who's cultivated, you cultivated it yourself, you know, ain't a bunch of shit on your plants. Yeah, maybe. I wouldn't do it for anybody else and shit, that's for sure. I feed that shit to my plants. My plants love that bubble water.
Hmm. How interesting.
Yeah, yeah. They love it. Love it. That's no bullshit either. It's almost like a fermented like tea or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's all what they need, man. But in veg, man, you'll know it's some explosive growth through it, man. If you know, midway through flower, I wouldn't put it on something that's in its final stages, but like 4 or 5. Man, you come into that room next day and your shit's gonna be loud, super loud. You know, it sucks that up. It's very beneficial. You know, you ever do some plants or do some washing. I'm telling you, let it get room temperature. Maybe you can cut it in half and
Mm.
feed it to your plants. Just even a couple. Test it out. Just test the theory out. I
Okay, I
guarantee you,
will. I will,
you'll be a
definitely will.
believer.
I definitely will. I'm doing a lot. I'm doing a lot of things now this year because and because of where we live at, as well up there too as Michigan like that, that we got this season outside. After a while it gets cold and we can't have shit outside. So I try to use the outdoors to try to pheno hunt and as much as I can to be able to bring something back inside because it's tough to do it inside in the wintertime if you don't have the space, especially when you're dealing with the plant count. Like at least I'm able to test things out. Like I'm actually testing out a lot of auto flowers this year too, checking, different breeders and seeing how they actually end up going and what I can end up getting into. Cause you can end up getting a good amount of from a number standpoint, right? We can end up getting a good amount of harvests out of one outdoor season with where we're at in the geographically. What do you think
I
about
blame
auto?
it on the cannabis. I'm right there. I think they're going to be something that's for the extract market, to be honest with you. I don't think the quality is enough there to be something that you'll just go into a store and buy. Although, I don't come up and hand me an auto flower joint and fuck, I'm not smoking. A lot of times you can't, necessarily tell it's an auto flower as far as taste and stuff. But I think, because of the rapid, you know, flipping it, I think that's going to be something that mainly the hydrocarbon side of things is going to be, yeah, that's where I want my money because they use a lot of cannabis. Why not, a rapid grow cannabis where they can produce a lot of weight per year, robbed all the terpenes and, dry comes off it, discard. That's where I see the autos going. But more and more people are, I haven't had a lot of good luck with them, but I haven't tried to grow them in a few years. And before that, it was like in the terrible phase. But man, I've met a lot of great people that are killing it in Canada, man. I didn't realize Canada had such a big market for autos, man. Boom Farms up there, man. That cat had 7 foot. He had a nice little greenhouse bit, all 7 footers throughout that thing. And for autos, I was like, man, that's pretty. I'm impressed. So yeah, I don't know. I'm still skeptical, but I don't know. Again, the other downside for me, my friend, is I'm a little cheap. Cheap. So I like something that, if I do find that phenols, it's something I really like. I want to be able to clone that thing out for the, that's the best thing about, cannabis too, is if you find that medicine, you find that right photo, you can keep that thing for the rest of your life if you know what you're doing. You know what I mean? There is that opportunity for that lifetime strain. But
Mhm.
autos, you're gonna keep paying for it, paying for it, paying for it, paying for it, paying for it. I don't know. That's the cheap side of me doesn't like autos. I don't like the idea of having to pay every time.
So I have not. I just started getting into autos this year, right? As far as because I've been slowly getting requests And here and there I get like, somebody is really like, oh, you have somebody autos. And I'm like, dude, so the most of the autos, right, are in the UK. But the UK does not like to fuck with the US at all when it comes to sending anything kind of cannabis related. So they don't send no seeds to the US. Now, the UK seed market developed to be auto fems. Why do they do auto fems? Is because now you can't steal, or how they call it, steal their genetics. It's a one and done. You have to come back to buy more, buy more, buy more, buy more. This was a solution to not put out regular seeds, and now people have their own. Like you said, you can end up keeping these forever if you know what you're doing. So I've been working on trying to get one breeder. Like, look, do you have at least one rep in the States? You got to have at least one, like somebody, anybody. Send me one person. Still to this day, nobody, not a single person. Now, actually, no, bullshit. I just found one, but I forgot. I still haven't asked him how he got him in here, but he has a whole. It's called Pure Altitude. He's actually one of the vendors coming up for this Gene Traders on the 27th. He actually has a lot of UK genetics, which was really surprising because, as far as to my knowledge, he might be like one of the only ones in the whole country. But now people are asking breeders to make autofems for multiple reasons. One, that they'd be able to get multiple harvests, like in New England and the Michigan area, as far as outdoors for personal, is the way I was thinking about it. I didn't really think about it what you said as far as like for extract. That's a good point that you made. I didn't think about that, and that's a good one to actually, another reason that's to be able to use autos. And then the third one ends up being if you really have some space restrictions, like people that live in New York City apartments or big city apartments, that they have like, like that, the best option for them is an auto flower fem. I think there's specific spots where, different types serve your purpose as far as to be able to cultivate at your house.
Again, I actually see it more a commercial thing, especially on a commercial level. If I were on a large scale farm, I think it would be tough, especially on a huge number game where I honestly hate thinking about the money side of cat. But it would make good sense to drop seeds, every round versus having a large cloning facility to where every time I had to plant clones, because it seemed like if that went down, then you'd scramble. Something happened in the cloning facility, planting season, you'd be screwed. With the autos, I could honestly see it being a thing where you could just a machine it, you know what I mean? Drop the seed, do that a couple of times a year. But I don't know. I don't know. It's where this industry is going to go. It surprises me all the time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's efficient. Let's not look at it from like the whole money aspect of it, right? Let's look at it from at least from efficiency and production, right? If you had to meet a specific number of this, a specific number of that, when you're trying to meet, you're talking about value. You can't beat the speed of autoflowers. Like even with clones, you just can't.
Yeah. People tell me I'm fear mongering, which maybe.
I like it.
Maybe.
I like autos. I like autos.
Well, this is what I'm thinking, to be honest with you, and it makes perfect sense. I see autoflower again being used on a geographical scale to where, like, say, the Midwest. You know, if you're growing in the middle of the fucking tornado belt, well, you may want to fucking plant autos before and after. Break your season up into, you know, viable time to where, you know, or even three, you know, so what I mean? So you're not hedging your bet all on one outdoor crop, you know what I mean? And, you know, nature comes and wham bam, you know, you're done. Smart farming tells me, you know, I can plant three, I may lose one, but two out of three, I'm gonna be a winner. You know what I mean? Same thing, like say down in like, you know, Florida areas, you know, hurricane seasons. Obviously, they got the weather to where they can grow year round. Why would you bust it up into like major grow seasons when you could divide it up into like extract crops and just be, you know, money all year? Again, you
Yeah.
lose one here or there, but
Oh no, they can grow year round. Florida can grow year round. They got like tropical climate all year round. There so something that ended up coming out of like the you know this whole industry is people showing me and teaching me and telling me about different ways that they grow. And I ended up learning about one that they ended up doing in Florida that I'm really interested to see like in real person is you know how they have a lot of swamps and like you know waterways and like that. So I seen one where they actually take like they make this homemade like barge and they have the plants on top of the barge with like water and they have like a little pump like with little hose coming off into the water and kind of like feeding it into it like you know auto feeding it a drip into like that and they end up growing their weed in a inside kind of a swamp like tucked in like a little cove with like grass and shit. I was like, yo, that's kind of dangerous. I was like, it's like, what about the alligators and shit? Like it's taking cannabis into another level of cold. I'm like, holy, but they do it. They actually do this shit. I'm like, damn, I would like to see one. I've never seen one and I haven't ran to somebody that's actually done it. Like, but it's that technique is out there and I'm really interested in though. How people grow, how different people grow and how just go about it. I've seen a swamp grow. That one's really interesting. They took a trash can in a swamp. They, you know how like the swamp still have these like mounds and here and there, right? They end up taking out the little tree on it. They took a trash can, they filled it up with soil, and they put it on top in case it kind of rose. And the water kind of like the trash can was hollow. I mean, they cut out the bottom when they put it on top of this mound. So the water was being wicked up to actually onto the plant with all that nutrients. It was like this big ass bush on top of this trash can. It was the weirdest shit. I had to like wear like the what do you call it, the overalls to like get out there and shit, yo, through the water. It was crazy. But outdoor cultivation is wild.
I've actually been working with a friend of mine that who designed his greenhouse 4 years ago, and it's not a big greenhouse. You know, it's only like a little 12 by 12. But for him, it's way more than he needs. But we set it up to be pretty much a deep water culture, outdoor, uh, and it works fine. You would think, you know, even above ground temperatures. He says, "Man, I seen temperatures last year, 90s, a couple of times, you know, throughout, but the water was always fine. You know, what was in the buckets was always fine." So basically, what we did was, you know, each plant is in a 5 gallon bucket with the net pot in it, and it's buried. It's buried. It's basically like an underculture system that gets changed out twice a day, but the buckets are in ground. Ground stays, you know, 60 degrees, especially when it's being, you know, covered. But so it stays cool there, and every time it changes out, every time it, you know, it changes out twice a day, it stays pretty cool. Even the reservoir, which is a trash can, is buried in the ground. So, you know, it stays cool throughout the whole day. Even the water lines going to pots are buried, you know. So everything that travels keeps water, nothing that sees water, the sun never sees, you know, he actually hits the water. And it stays really cool. And he does super, super well. but it's the only system I've ever seen like that that's been kind of a aquaponics outdoors type setup. It's pretty neat.
That is really cool. I've never heard of that one before. That's really cool. I would love to see that. Dude, I love that shit. I love the ingenuity about this whole industry. Just every grow is a custom grow. Every single grow is a custom grow.
There's definitely, and that goes, yeah, you're right. Everyone, I mean, how many of us have made space and every time, we see space, we turn it into a grow space. A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
And look at that. That's when you know you like you was like it's like you look at the space, it's like, damn, I can grow like 15 plants in this bitch.
I've seen commonly up here by me, they they make like pre-made sheds. You get like a 16 by 30 shed pre-built, dropped off. They're just like buying those, dropping them next to the house, running some electrical out there. It's my new grow room.
Right up front of the house?
Oh, right up next to the house. Right, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You don't
yeah,
even have to pull a permit for something like that because it's a temporary structure. You just put it on some
Get the
piers.
fuck out. Temporary structure for years.
Yeah, yeah.
Those loopholes, you gotta love them. You gotta
Oh
love
yeah. Even as a contractor, I used to use loopholes like that. I mean, go to build a deck as long as that rim board isn't attached to the house. It's not, you don't necessarily have to pull a permit on that. It's not attached to the house. And if you attach it to the house, it's actually taxable.
them.
So yeah, I'd always tell them, we'll, we'll free flow it. Free flow. As
Oh,
soon as I put them,
okay. Very interesting. Have to remember that. That's very, very interesting. I love these little like, little loophole nuances per state too. Like for example, too, like we was talking about earlier. So you can walk around New York City anywhere you can smoke a cigarette, you can smoke a joint or a blunt. So walking down the street, like you could already do it, but like you can really do it. Like we were already doing it, but not like like I was in Times Square on 420 at 420 smoking a joint like 15 feet from a cop and like it's nothing. Now I was still it was still like I was looking at him. I was like, are you looking? Are you gonna say nothing? Like it was like, yo, he's not saying nothing. Oh shit! Like I can't believe it. Anywhere you could smoke a cigarette in New York, you can smoke a joint or a blunt.
nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's really awesome. We're not that open where we're not supposed to be that open here, but we do. We do.
Yeah, that's what we do it anyway. Like, fuck it.
But it'd be nice to not have to worry about it. Actually, do you want to hear like a funny story about smoking in public? That's been my fight back on a lot of these drive-throughs. I mean, anymore around me, man. You pull around for coffee, and they're like, "Can you just pull ahead for like 10 minutes?" Really, it's fucking coffee. All right. So now I'm rolling. I always roll with the pre rolls anyway. I don't even judge the rides by time. It's like, okay, going to Walmart, 2 doobies each way. I need to roll up 4.
Doobie time.
But now they tell me to pull ahead. You just pull that window up there. I purposely pull one out and will sit there in place the whole time. I've had workers come out like, "Oh,
Yo,
I'm gonna make the best of my time, man. You got my coffee? I need to put this thing out and get rolling."
there's too much stigma on that shit. There really is. Like it's just crazy. It just makes us still feel. It's like I think that's almost ends up being like the final battle. Like, you know, makes us feel like we need to like hide ourselves when we smoke. That we can only do it in our house or like secretly in groups and like private clubs and shit. Like we can't do it in public. Like honestly, I hope that more and more states end up following what New York did. Like I can't believe that that shit actually even went through. Like I think the whole country, even the state of New York, is like in a state of shock that something like that went through. Like it's unbelievable. Like to be like, yo, that's how it should be. Like it just makes so much sense for it to be that way that now the consumption, when it comes to consumption, anywhere that ends up being considered basically like a cigar bar can end up, smoking, blunts or joints in that shit.
That's gonna be the shit. I almost think the only reason we haven't got more of those yet is because people will be coming in. I don't. It'd be harder to control. You know what I mean? Somebody coming in and just pulling out a joint out of their pocket. I'm sure a lot of those places want to sell you that joint or that cigar. You know what I'm saying?
And this is where these companies, right, that are being greedy are failing to actually see. If they actually end up allowing and pushing the states that they're so hard to pushing to limit everybody else to actually push to allow more public consumption, that means that people will be more free to smoke more. If you smoke more, you have to make more, you have to make more. The circle of fucking life, god damn it. Like it's not that difficult. You let the people smoke and they're going to want to buy more. Simple.
For sure, for sure.
Maybe too simple.
That's what sometimes some events are nice about. And here in Michigan, not calling anybody out because I still love the places, but there are still
call them out.
No. I love my clubs. They know where they are. You know what I mean? But there's still them places where you can, kind of caregiver go in, enjoy some food, some camaraderie, shoot some pool, and pick up some meds from some caregivers and stuff like that. I love those markets, man. The fucking markets are awesome. I hope we get more legally places like that because people, we are introverts as growers, but as a community, I mean, who likes that? If you've got the choice to smoke a joint to yourself or go hang out with a bunch of other smokers, and wouldn't you go like a smoke bar? I know I'm not a drinker. I haven't been to a bar forever, but if I had the opportunity to on any given day, you know what I mean? I'm bored. I think I'm gonna run down to the fucking weed bar and shit, just hang out and smoke with people. I'd be all down for that shit. That'd be cool as hell.
Definitely. And then, and the thing about that too is that you can end up going to maybe some big one that where it has basic like retail type of weed, or you can end up going to a local smoke bar and you got the local dude that's got the super fire right there pre-rolled, and you just sitting there maybe watching a game, maybe just talking it up with somebody like that, like anybody else. Like that's what it should be. If they did that, all these states wouldn't have problems as far as like bringing on making more sales as far as the retail like that. But they want to play this restrictive game and don't allow people to still to smoke in public. So shit, what do you expect? Whatever. You know what I'm for? I'm actually for also too, like using more crypto, like and getting out of like using these traditional systems that uh only look for more regulation and more restraint, more restriction, more. I'm like, with crypto, I feel that, what? Nah, I just move my shit somewhere else. You don't even know where I put it at.
I'm not that technically advanced yet, but someday, I'm still scared of that kind of shit, man. The the chip mentality. Holy shit! I don't want no electrical dollars. Like, oh, it's coming though. It's coming faster than we can
It's
even.
coming. I'm just trying to maintain with the times. And it's, for me, right, when it comes to crypto, it's also again still dealing with the industry. um we can't use the financial industry like every other industry, every other businesses. We have to jump through so many hoops, and the price tag is so high to just hold an account open that it's incredibly difficult to just pay your bill. I had a buddy of mine today that calling me. He's like, yeah, I got to go to pay for his insurance for his hemp farm. He had to pay it in cash because they wouldn't accept card or a check from him. He had to actually physically come to give him cash because, even though he actually has something to do transaction digitally, because of the industry that he's in, they see it all as bad. And it's incredibly difficult to just bank. How many stories have you heard that they did something online, sold seeds online, sold hemp online, anything dealing with cannabis, boom, shut down account, frozen account for like 5 months, that thousands and thousands of dollars just stuck there because that fucking financial industry doesn't want to fuck with us. Another thing why I see that us moving to crypto is better than using them.
Dude, as far as like cannabis and cannabis money goes, not this 420, but last 420 when I was just getting this thing rolling. Uh, Smiley's Gardens, we were having it was a rabbit hole back then. Uh, a sesh, like a panel sesh for smoking, and Smiley came up with the idea of doing like a 24-hour show on 420, and we did. I've done it, 2 in a row now, but the idea was to do it for charity, you know, to kind of prove that it wasn't just a stoner holiday, that we could, put our minds together and do something good with a day and enjoy our cannabis plant, you know, none. But I had the hardest time. I called fuck cancer. I call all kinds of charity. I mean, granted, it was in like the beginning stages of this pandemic mess, and the people weren't at the desk. You know what I mean? But I couldn't find anybody that was wanting to basically take cannabis money, even in donation. I'm like, fucking really? You I mean, come on. I mean, this is sad. This is sad. I worked, it was like 2 weeks, making calls, sending emails, couldn't find anybody. So in the end, come showtime, I just asked all the guests, you know, in lieu of having, and looking back, I'm glad I didn't call out one. You know what I mean? Because no matter one, somebody's going to find a problem with that one. It could have went to this, it could have went to that. In hindsight, this worked out better because I just asked every guest as they came on. What is there something that passionate to you that you'd like to make light of, that somebody watching wanted to donate to, look up, what would be that one? You know what I mean? So everybody that kind of came on could, push, a heartfelt, you know, go push the Cancer Society or, breast cancer, whatever. It wasn't just one, but it was, trying to just do the right thing and make awareness of all. So, but I couldn't believe that people wouldn't take donations from the cannabis community. It blew my mind. I don't know if it was just beginning pandemic or nobody just wanted to fucking touch cannabis. It's just
No. Pandemic or not, no. They'd rather die and starve. I swear it's the stupidest shit ever. They just don't want. They're looking at it from PR. I swear to you, they're looking at. I stopped one and I asked them. I was like, "What the fuck's wrong with y'all? You guys need this money. Like, take this money." Like, it's like, oh, they're looking at it for real from a PR perspective, that they're taking potentially, and this is all from like Mothers Against Mad or whatever, like that kind of like side effect that people, these corporations, these nonprofit organizations are afraid of taking taking money from potentially criminal organizations with just simply potentially is enough for them to literally rather have motherfuckers die and starve than actually take money like that. This also goes into going as far as like there used to be the restaurants that used to donate the food to the homeless shelters, and they stopped that because somebody got sued one time and insurance won't cover it. So now rather than actually giving some food to actually you're starving, right, to a family or something like that, they literally throw it in the trash. So it's fucked up. And but yeah, ultimately they're telling you no because it's a more of a PR issue if they tell you yes.
That's fucked up. That's fucked up.
Yep, that is fucked up. 100% agree with you.
Well, like I was telling the gentleman yesterday when I was talking about that price and tax he paid for that shit he bought. Let's see if they'll, they're gonna make a killing off a tax off this recreational market. Let's see where that, how well those dollars are spent. You know what I mean, through the legal system. If they'll do right by it, at least in that aspect. But it's a
I don't
crazy
know.
market.
Yeah. They're the system, ugh. And the government, you know, being thieves that they are with those tax dollars, they're just so unimaginary motherfuckers. They really are. I swear they are just so they have no imagination. They really do not. Like it's and I did, because of the cannabis industry, I never thought that I would be so in depth in the bullshit that I have to deal with politicians from different states, as far as in a sense of like trying to make change. This is the activist work of trying to get better laws for people to grow at home or dealing with genetics for either the sake of the grower at home or the cultivator that's paying this high license fee and stuck with bullshit genetics. Like it's fucked up. So I'm constantly battling at some state capital with a politician that has no idea about anything, has no kind of imagination, and is only willing to play the same game of how do we tax this better? How do we better tax this, tax this, tax this, tax this? And at the end of it, it's just more to wasteful spending that doesn't make any sense for half the shit that we spend it on. Like, it's thieves, basically thieves. Just taking shit to waste it for no reason, like what the fuck?
Yeah, well, to that, all I can say is, we can take these victories and be happy about them. And I think at some point they're counting on us not to show up at the polls to defend our rights. Still, I think so basically we can't give up the fight, even though we've got a lot of laws on the books. Man, we got to keep showing up at the polls, letting these guys know how we feel about what's going on and how they are spending these dollars. Because it's very important. I remember that we need to kind of show, and we are in a lot of aspects about this. We've been trying to take the Michigan caregiver out the books, man. At one point, they were, and I was one of the kids that we all like did like a post, call this congressman today. And we blew that cat's phone up, and he pulled back his proposal like that night.
It works.
We have to voice our opinions. So
something that I'm gonna give you and everybody else too. Since I deal with the political thing quite a bit now, and it's very interesting, right? So I'll tell you something about politicians. So politicians are actually, for the most part, like that, they end up going through a little bit of media training, right? How to deal with somebody with a camera in your face and asking you all these like penetrating questions and blah 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 and kind of trick questions. How to deal with that. you know, how to deal with like at a press conference and one of the reporters is just like really hassling you. They learn how to pivot and develop a skill how to pivot, all that stuff. Some do it really well. Something that they haven't fully like gotten at all ends up being how to deal with somebody that's trolling you on social media. They don't know how to deal with it, and they try to, the last thing that you're supposed to do, right, is fight back with dumbasses on social media in the comment section. You're going to be fighting the entire day. Some people do it just to get you to fight for their entertainment. So they have no idea how to fight against this. The way to do it is just not to do anything at all. Don't reply. So they're replying like crazy, and what they're doing is that they're painting themselves in a corner. And because they're public figures, right, people are taking, if you said it on social media, then you mean it, and why aren't you like that? And it starts reflecting on like almost keeping your word at the same time. Or at the same time, people corner you with evidence because, you know, like, oh, you said this, and that's a lie. And so you blah, blah, you should resign. Oh, yeah, when I say that, boom, screenshot. And now the whole world's seeing it. They are not prepared. They're not social media trained. They're only media trained. They're not social media trained. So what you guys did with the posting painted them to the corner, and it got spread around so quickly that he had no choice but like, oh shit, let me, like, that's looking bad on me. Let me stop what I'm doing. It's the same thing we do with corporations with social media by boycotting them and not buying anything from them. Once you affect a dollar at a corporation, they stop doing whatever the fuck they were doing. With politicians, once you make them look bad and people don't want to vote for them, they stop doing whatever the fuck they're doing. And it's being pressed through social media. So press the fuck on is what I say. Press it on. Every single one. Every single one. Press them all. They're doing something stupid. Well, you deserve to get pressed. That's it. Don't do stupid shit. It's simple.
That's the attitude I have right now with all these cats trying to change their names and shit because they were outed for supporting to get rid of the caregivers here in Michigan. Oh, what? You had to change your name because you're embarrassed you tried to fuck us? Oh, sorry about that. Maybe you shouldn't have tried to fuck us. Maybe that, it's just easier that way. Just if you're not embarrassed to, if you're embarrassed about what you're doing, you know what I mean? You think it's going to come back reflecting bad on you, you shouldn't be fucking doing it. You know what I mean? This should be a public lesson right there that, in this instance, things are too easy to, be brought out like that. If you're going to support, a congressman like that that's going, hey man, we're going to take these guys out, and you don't want to be noted that you're part of that team. Well, sounds like you should have been part of that team to begin with. You know what I mean? You knew it was wrong. Obviously, in hindsight, you don't like, it was wrong, and you were sorry you were associated with it. Or maybe they're not sorry. Maybe they're not sorry, but just embarrassed. Either way, but I'm glad whoever made that list public made it public because it should.
Hey, it's a small community. So the cultivators talk to each other. If this starts feeling something that's wrong like that, it should be put out. I mean, again, if you don't want to be outed for doing stupid shit, don't do stupid shit. I mean, but if you don't care, fuck it, rock on, I guess. I mean, that, the attitude some people have, like, you know what, this is America, business, blah, blah, blah. All right, cool, but this is America, so people have full right to boycott your dumbass at the same time. So whatever. There's always something, you don't have to buy from them. You don't have to, you can just starve them out. That's always an option. I have no problem with that. How you hurt a corporation, you stop fucking with them. How you stop politician, you stop voting for him. That's it. You threaten them to that, I swear to you, it doesn't matter who it is. Once you threaten them to that, watch them change their tune. I've seen politicians that are like, super hating on homosexuals like all the way, and then all of a sudden you see him at a gay wedding because they trying to get them votes. Like, you motherfucker. It's like, you know what? And I you know what I see right now? I don't forget that. I don't forget that, you know, you might have been part of the lawsuit, and because it's becoming negatively a negative thing tone towards your business that you're pulling out. No. You didn't pull out on your own. They made you pull out. That's a different story. You didn't pull out on your own because it was the right thing to do when they were started pushing forward for it. You pulled out on your own because it was starting, if your name got out there. That you pull out because you're ashamed of what you're doing. That's a different story. It is what it is.
Roll another one up myself.
I gotta get. Hold on. Go ahead. Roll another one. I gotta go get some weed deal. Hold on.
I love smoke the cannabis. I love smoke the cannabis. Shout out to all you guys in chat, man. Thank you for showing up. 75 or so that I seen last count. It's pretty awesome, guys. Hopefully, you guys will be getting you tickets to head out to the Gene Traders event very soon. Hopefully, in your area. Not hopefully, one coming soon. Cheers to you, Stu Luke.
Woohoo! Yes. If you come by, man. I love smoking weed. Oh, please. Okay. Please. I love you guys, and I know you guys want me to try your weed, right? I'm totally for it. But please, please don't give it to me in a sandwich baggie that is not labeled. Because how many times have I gotten some bomb fire and I have no idea who gave it to me and what it is? Labels, man. Labels. Labels, so important.
Good point. Good point. Is there still tickets available for the Michigan event? I'm sure there's.
Oh, yeah. General store. Yeah. So growers are very funny people. They don't like hanging around. They like to come get their genetics and then maybe smoke a joint too and then leave. That's it. And some of them don't even smoke a joint. They just want to get like their, you know, we're always thinking about our plants in our garden. So once you get a little baby, you just want to get the baby home. So it's I never have to worry about like a over capacity because people come in and out, you know, just to kind of just, that's it. It's not, it's, the crowd isn't a hangout type of people. A lot of people are very shy. And still from the eight, you know, like you said, we still have that remnants of like, it was super fucking illegal. Like not that long ago. Like really fucking illegal, not that long ago. And we still have that like little bit of that shyness to us because of it.
I think that's what makes these communities, this community work. To be honest with you, is, you know, we are introverts, but you know, we're human. We still want to connect with somebody that's like-minded. And like these chats, and back in the day it was the forums, but now you got the bigger live chats, man. People, like-minded people hang out, be able to chat. That's what makes these things work nowadays. Is you know, we are introverts. We like to stay here, but nowadays we can stay here and still be somewhat sociable. You know what I'm saying? It's a cool day and age, man. Fucking cannabis communicates. It's pretty awesome.
Definitely.
I still can't believe. I still can't believe that YouTube lets me do this night. I feel blessed that I have smoked a lot of weed publicly on YouTube.
It's crazy. It's so dope. Yeah, man. Yeah, the fact that, and that's another thing to bring that, that obstacles for the cannabis industry, genetics, financial industry, uh, media, branding ourselves, marketing ourselves, right? Because all we have is social media or something similar, the platforms to share. But how many people do we know that have been shut down? My account shut down, blah blah blah, and because they don't allow us to use TV, radio, or print. Um, this is the only way we're able to share that even if for retailers like that, we actually have a product. And for some states, they actually cut them out too, that they can't use that either. So creating this content and be able to talk to people like that, is a way to generate money that actually, translate into real world, somebody actually walking into like a brick and mortar. But for any reason they feel like, you can end up getting shut down. Like just like that, your whole way of living is stopped.
And I was one of the first people around here in Michigan to kind of preach that branding shit. And it was like, it was back in the double-edged sword days, brother. It was like still shady market days, shady fucking market days. I'd be showing up, and caregivers were still, able to sell to dispensaries, and there were so many that were on license, you know, but they were taking out a lot of them too. But I was, of course, wanting to build my brand. I'm not stupid, I want to build my reputation as a grower. That's ultimately then where I wanted to be, at some point, taking a head cultivation job or something like that. Things have changed since then. Dreams changed since then. But man, so I started slapping stickers on my sacks when I take them to visiting centers. So I wanted them to remember me. And then they were getting busted back then. Yeah, it was still that raw. You know what I mean? It never failed. I moved up here to northern Michigan, totally changed locations, and wanted to establish myself in what was going to be a new market. So I went north and this is nowhere alive, man. I went north and dropped cards and samples off to everything here north of Michigan, everything to the tip, all the way up. And the next day, they went through and fucking busted all of them, all of them. And I was like, yes, yeah. I just chopped off my number at almost every one of the fucking places. And I sat here just as fucking nervous as could be for like a fucking year. Just like, oh shit. Oh shit. Fuck that Brandon. Why am I so stupid? They got my logo, they got my fucking phone number. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah. It's a dangerous game.
Come a long way since then. That's another thing is, about this. It is so nice to be able to hold our heads up, as smokers, as cultivators, we don't have that stigma is finally being stripped away. You know what I mean? All smokers, cannabis users are bad people, this, that.
My favorite,
It's so
smokers
nice.
can't be productive. You have an idea how much shit I do?
I see that across the board. I don't see anybody in the cannabis industry that's serious about it. I could call not one of them. Not one of them. Every one of them I know is a fucking hustler. 4 or 5 hours of sleep, fucking trying to make the dream happen. There ain't nothing lazy about anybody I've met in the cannabis industry. That's got a huge myth.
Yeah, not at all. You can't. I think with the this is what I think. This is what laws ended up breeding for cultivators. Very MacGyver type of individuals that can set up a grow almost anywhere. that we'll hit up Home Depot, wherever the fuck we need to. We'll get it. We'll figure it out. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna grow some damn plants in that little space. Um, uh, besides resourceful, secretive. Know how to maintain a secret. Being patient too. Cultivators are very patient. We have to be. We're talking about months. When we're talking about plants and cycles. Um, Yeah, don't get me wrong. Some of them are fucking nutcases. Holy shit! Some people are fucking nutcases. They're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. You need to really be talking to your plants, bro. Some people are nutcases. I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it. And I don't know. My favorite are the amateurs, the novice, the first timers. So excited, so like doe-eyed, yo. Oh my god, yo, it's so like it's cute. It's cute.
It's one of those things that pull you along, though. The plant does pull you along. That first win is yes, yes, finally, finally. And I don't care what, even if it is, you mids to low, it's still the best fucking weed you've ever smoked. That first round.
Definitely. Yeah.
So what are you rolling up there, my friend?
I'm rolling up some Candy Rain that I just grabbed from my homeboy. It's weird. It's called Candy Rain. I don't know what it's actually made of, but it's got this like it's weird. It's got like it's more of a cheese type of taste with slight sweetness, but almost like touch of grapefruit. It's a little bit, I don't know, it's a little bit odd, but it's definitely more cheese. And it's real, honestly, like it's a bit heavier than I would like. It's like it weighs out heavy on me. But it's the end of the night anyway, shit, so I'm not too like it's whatever. I already did my whole full, 15-hour work day, 16-hour work day, normal shit.
Yeah, not the cultivator's life is not a lazy one. So you kind of mentioned hemp earlier. How's that? Is that
Um,
is that something that genes that would be are traded there as well? Is
oh
that
yeah.
is
So for the when it comes to like the CBD genetics, right? As far as those specific cannabinoids, um, that they tend to be more medical property leaning, but in my opinion, and not just mine, a lot of people that you need both. You can't have just one. So for that, you need to make sure you have full plant extract. So what people come to, for the medical side, they come to Gene Church to get the CBD ones, so they can end up doing full plant extracts for dealing with like epilepsy and like different types of stuff that you need the full extract, not just dealing with just the CBD. Um, so that was really interesting, something that I did find about like that. But since I'm cultivating hemp as well, I'm also interested in the building material part of it, because you can end up using um, hemp wood pellets to heat up, to make electricity, to heat things up, to during the wintertime. You can use hemp to make material. You can make for clothing. You can use it for hempcrete, plastics. There's a lot of uses to hemp. So the same thing that we do with genetics, right? With the THC side, as far as all these different crosses to get these different type of effects in us, we're gonna end up doing the same thing. Not gene traders, but as far as dealing with the cultivation farm that I'm dealing with, Weapon Farms. As far as hunting down which genetics are good for different products. Because just because it's really good for oil doesn't mean it's really good for um, clothing material. You need those long, tall, like cannabis plants. Those single stocks. You don't want a bush. So knowing which one matters. So doing this research also matters too, as far as getting there. And again, this is just to help along the industry even more. So other farmers go to gene traders looking for different type of CBD genetics.
If you had to throw a guesstimate out there, and I know you can't necessarily know what every vendor will bring, what what you think would be the possibility of how many different strains, how many different genetics would be there?
Oh
Say
God.
like up to a chance of like a couple hundred strains you could possibly choose from in a day at two traders.
Hold on. Let me see. Let me see if I can give you a slight estimate. Let's see now. All right, so I counted 50 types of strains that I'm gonna personally have there, and that doesn't include the clones, which I'll probably have about another like I'm gonna say maybe another like 15 different types, maybe 13 to 15 different types, but have multiples of each type. Um, that's just me. That's just one table. Now multiply that times everybody, and that's the thing though, right? People, they'll get a little bit of this. They're planning it like coming to Gene Traders, you're planning out for like the rest of the year. So you can pick up some of this guy, some of that guy, pick up two clones to kind of get like out there and just kind of plan out even the next 2 years. So yeah, yeah. Coming to this event is like a one-stop shop for for the rest. As far as genetics for the rest of the year.
Pretty awesome. I just like the selection myself. I just like the variety, be able to walk through fucking 500 strings or shit. That's pretty cool all in itself.
It's yeah, it's quite it's a big rush in the beginning. So I'll let you know exactly how it kind of works out. And apparently it doesn't matter where I hold it. It happens exactly the same. It doesn't matter what region. It happens exactly the same. It's a 4-hour event, and I always hold it on Sundays. I find I hold it on Sundays because um, from 12 to 4 because uh, after if you go to church at after 12, so you're able to go to it, and it's in the middle of the day, so I'm thinking about the plants. So talking about you'll be able to walk out in the middle of the day. It's not nighttime if you have to drive far, because some people do drive really far. I have guys that come down from Maine to Massachusetts, drive 7 hours, grab a few plants, turn around, and drive straight back. So dealing with the daytime, it kind of helps them out too. So and Sundays there's nobody around. Everybody's off, everybody's at home. We get to do our thing nice and cool and chill, and then everybody leaves. That's it. Like nothing even happened. I've been doing it for 5 years. Sundays is the day to do it. The first 2 hours is a fucking rush and a half. Like so of course, because all the best clones get taken up first. If this breeder only has like 2 packs or 3 packs of this specific type and everybody wants them, everybody's rushing for that one. Like it's just trying to get these specific things. Not necessarily having to deal with hype, right? You got the group that wants all the hype, and you got the groups that are looking for those gems, those old school ones, those gems. Like I'm gonna ask you, what are you looking for?
If I were to go, I would probably want some Northern Lights #5 right off the top. I'm one of the ones who would go right for the gems, the hard to look fine shit. I ain't about that hype. I'm not about that fucking hype. I just I'm right there with you. Even when by the time you take them seeds home or whatever, grow it out, it's fucking fed's gone. You've done missed the boat or whatever. That's what I've always enjoyed about being on the tester side of things, man. I, I don't even like growing what's hype crossed into what I'm growing. You know what I mean? I prefer, a better start to that. But I don't want what I'm smoking. If I go out and do a grow, I want it to be notable. You know what I mean? I fucking everybody else is like cookies, 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 whatever. Nothing against it. You love fucking cookies, but I want that one thing that like, whoa, fuck, man, this is fucking fine. This is fucking good. You know what I mean? Wow, what is that? It's definitely not that fucking hype.
Not
And
that
most times because I was a tester for mainly at Sub Cool at the time. I'm like, man, you ain't gonna hear about that shit for like you were saying, couple rounds. You ain't gonna hear about this shit for a couple more years. You'll fucking remember that name. Yeah, you'll hear about that 2 years. You'll be able to buy that shit.
Yeah, bro, exactly. I've fallen into the tester side, but not really. I'm calling like, yo, we're about to release this next year. Here you go. Like, and people give me clones that I can't tell people about, which is really interesting because I grow it out. I'm like, yo, this is so phenomenal. And I tell like my friends about it like that, like close like that, but I can't let it out into the world. The ones that they're just keepers. You can't. It's and that's the thing about respect. If you're trusted, really, like this advice, simple for anybody out there. If somebody trusts you with something and say, don't let it out into the world. Don't like that. Don't be a fucking dick. And like do that, man. Like that's a lot of hard work. That's a lot, like a lot of time and energy and and resources that you just like nonchalantly just gave out to mad people, like because whatever the fuck, $100, like wow, way to go. Anyway, yeah, so yeah, I do like the like I tell my boy, yo, wait until you see this, is gonna be it's gonna change the game, and they don't believe you, and next thing it's like, yo, but you knew about it like way back then. It's like, yeah, it's just it takes a little bit to get down to you.
It does. Yeah. That's why I love that pheno hunt. I love to pop them seeds. Thank God, thank goodness for people like gene traders that you can go out there and pick up 50 different flavors if you want them, because you gotta stay ahead of that curve. Yeah, stay ahead of that curve, man.
Oh yeah.
There's so
So,
much that this plant can do.
and you know what? I expect like the ones that that have already built a brand to do good. I'm not worried about them, but I always want the little guy to do good too. You know what I'm saying? I want that person to walk out like, damn, yo, like it just, their career starting to like really push off, like that that was that ended up being that extra little boost that they needed to like really push forward, and hopefully they stick with it and come out to the future being like super fucking amazing breeder and shit, just I always root for the little guy, yo. I want him to win so big, yo. But it's constant though, because there's always a new little guy, but yeah, it's yeah, it's going to be really interesting. And not just that. So this is an interesting part that I didn't know about. So that weekend, Friday and Saturday, Canacon is going to be in Detroit. That's Friday Saturday. So Gene Traders is on that Sunday. It's on that side of the state. So we're actually going to end up having quite a bit of like um other industry individuals in on Sunday, just kind of like not doing anything, which is very strange. I ended already getting hit up by multiple people that didn't know that I was going to be there and like in the area, and were going to CanaCon. They wanted to link up with me and shit. So it's gonna be quite an interesting like event, man. I hope you come.
Definitely gonna try to make this round. That's for sure. I've had people in chat ask me if I was gonna be there as well. I wanted to go to the last one, to be honest with you. You know, just well, just to see what kind of genetics there. It support a lot of my friends. I knew a lot of people, Med Grower One, Empire Breeding Co. A lot of other people on my Happy Tree Co. have been past guests of the show. I like to hang out, see what just to support those guys. So I wanted to go, but it was again. It was. I heard you talk about the one guy that drove 7 hours to get a couple clones. I was thinking, man, that makes me feel like a bitch for not driving 3.
Oh, no. It, but you guys live in Michigan, like out here in New England, like we got to drive far. Nothing's close. Nothing's like close. Everything's more than a fucking hour away. Like nothing is close. So they're like, fuck it. Cause you know what though? This might be their only chance to get that genetics too, Like it's sometimes for some people it's really limited and they need that like one to just, finish out the year or push them over the edge. So yeah. I had a guy drive up from Texas a few times to grab some genetics and then drive back like crazy. I was like, yo, you fucking wild, bro. Like Texas out of all places. But yeah, there's cultivators. There's cultivators everywhere. There's something I ended up finding out. It doesn't matter what state I land in. There's a cultivator there that is willing to meet me wherever the fuck I'm at to give me some weed. Like for real. I even and I'll bring them some seeds just to have something fresh from a local grower, and then I'll be like, here's some seeds to help you out. I can't hear you.
That's because I'm muted. That's because I'm muted myself. Makes it a little easier like that. You get to try some new cannabis, and then it leave you from having to travel. Travel with fresh stinky bud.
Which is yeah. So yeah, I always have packs on me to give out, like for whatever like that. I'll leave shit stash here and there, whatever like that. So definitely.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. What do they call that there when they do that?
Stash and dash. Yeah,
actually, I got a pack one time like that. To be honest with you, it was fucking. It was ocean grown, but it was a ninja, which is doing dojo seeds now. He fucking stuffed something. He basically what we're talking about here. Can't travel with it. Can't get on the plane. Been bombarded with gifts all weekend long. Can't take it with me. If you can find this fucking tree, he fucking had it fucking showed it where it had it up in the fucking tree. If you can find this tree, this is yours. Good luck. And fuck it, I found that shit. I found that.
Get the fuck out, yo! I know he's gonna be there, yo. I know him. He loves doing shit like that too, yo. No shit. That's fire.
You know what the cool thing about it was? Well, Ninja Fruit has always been one of his signature strains, and fucking what he left in the bag was like shit that people had passed to him. You know what I mean? Like we're saying, can't get on the plane with that. And I think sometimes people get discouraged. I've talked to people about that. Like, say, they've met their favorite breeder at a cup and shit on like a Sunday, and he fucking gave him one hug or something like that, and then see him turn around and hand it to somebody else. Well, they don't realize they can't travel with, fucking pound of weed and shit. So I can see that a little bit. But that's basically what it was. It was a bag of shit people had fucking gave him. It was a nice bag, fucking edibles, pens, fucking hash. It was a nice goodie bag. It was a nice goodie bag. But no
And
seeds. No seeds. So he's like, hit me up on Instagram, whoever found this. I was like, man, and I hung out with him all weekend. I'm like, I found that shit, fucker. He's like, man, I'll send. There wasn't no seeds in there. I didn't have no ninja fruit on me, but I'll mail you a pack. I'm like, man, you gotta do that shit. But he ended up mailing me a fucking signed pack of fucking ninja fruit anyway. On top of the,
yeah.
what he'd left behind. I'm like, that's a cool motherfucker right there, man. He didn't have to, do any of that, much less take the time out and fucking mail me a signed pack of seeds.
Yeah, and he's still a cool motherfucker, man. He really is. Like I met him, uh been about a year and a half ago. And it's been a trip, yo. He's a cool fucking motherfucker, yo. It really is. It really is. And he's from a little old school like that, as far as like dealing with ninja fruit and shit, Like in coming up with what was it, ocean grown, right? Yeah.
We talk about respect. That's one of my fucking shining examples of like respect. How it can be broken. Not nothing to do with the fucking ocean grown bullshit. Whatever happened there is whatever happened. That's none of my fucking business. But what I'm talking about is like being past genetics, as you kind of talked about earlier, that trusting shit right there. Uh Basically what transpired, and it was fucking that weekend at the Cub. Ninja Fruit was being freshly released, and fucking one of his testers were there at the cup and had a whole baker's rack full of ninja clones or ninja fruit clones. He's there at the basically the premiere of the release. We walked around the track and there's fucking a whole tray of fucking his shit. So what are you gonna buy? Are you gonna walk around and you gonna buy a fucking pack of seeds, or are you gonna walk around the track and buy the exact same clone and in a clone? You
Get
know what I
the
mean?
fuck out of here.
Yeah, yeah. So that's where level of trust could be fucking broken right there. And there's it should be that level of trust when they send out those packs that you're not gonna undercut them or shit like that. But yeah, that was fucking. That was the example where trust goes wrong right there. And he was fucking irate, rightly so, rightly so. That's
Damn.
a big.
Damn. I didn't know that. I never heard that story. Damn. That's fucking crazy. This is why,
So that
this thing's on respect, like damn, man. Respect.
I've actually had fucking I've worked with breeders. Uh, one of them whom will be at your show, good friend of mine too. Uh, who dropped seeds, and he was like, "Hey man, you're ahead of the game. Don't don't I don't show photos of that one yet. Don't. That one's a top secret." Then I was like, okay, cool, cool. You gotta respect, with what people you work with and stuff like that. And I do. I think that's fucking an honor. If somebody fucking wants to fucking trust you with something that it basically, in my eyes, man, that shit up until release is fucking top secret. You know what I'm saying? Unless they're talking about it, whatever. And that's an honor, man. Somebody kind of lets you in on their fucking top secret shit, man. Just shoot. You know. view it as such, as an art.
So tell you, so it's funny you say, right? Like, because so Stone Ninja ended up actually like giving me, something that he was working on. And it actually was at the first Michigan event. He gave it to me and he said, "Yo, here you go. Yo, this thing is bomb." And said nothing else about it. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm in the middle of running an event. I'm not really paying too much attention to it. I just, put it in my clone box, to get quarantine and, and I keep it moving. I quarantine everything. Um, uh, and I got her in my veg and months passed, whatever like that. And he tells me the story behind it and like how he's about to actually like put it out into the world. That's why I can't like say it like that, but he's about to put like this new one out to the world. And he's like, oh, blah blah blah. The one where he named it, it's not the final name. It actually was the tester name. It's not the final name that's actually about to be released now. And I'm like, I couldn't believe like the whole backstory of it. He ended up, I want to say it, but I can't. But anyway, there's a new thing that he's coming out with that he gave me, and he didn't tell me anything about it. He just happened to hand it to me. And I just went about my business like that. But he trusted me with it like that. And he's like, just don't give it out. I'm like, oh, no problem. And I just threw it to the side and like that. And then just, kept it in there nice and safe. She's growing beautifully and like, oh, I can't wait to like fly. I haven't flowered her once yet because I just got her in March.
That's fucking badass too. You know when fucking a breeder slides or something like that, it's fucking fire. You know, I kind of, I'm kind of there right now. To be honest with you, I had breeder Alex Hardy, Hardy Gear, on the show. And prior to his episode, there was an episode that you won't find. They won't find. That episode was yeah, not banned, but it's banned. That one will probably never be re-aired. But from that, there came like a little joke of like a gift basket. And so he thought it would be funny to fucking send me a gift basket before the show. And I actually received it the day of his show. Fucking hash and clone. Hash and clone. I'm like, that's pretty fucking cool, man. That's fucking awesome. So, and I asked him about the clone. And he just had that look on his face. I mean, granted, we were both, indulging in the psilocybin during that episode pretty deep. But he just had that look when he told me about it. Like, that's the shit. You know what I mean? You smoke that shit and you're going to be fucking fucked up. And I got that girl right over there, man. And he's like, and seriously, he looked at me and he was like, the only thing I ask is you just spread that around to everybody. And I could just tell by look out of his face that it was worth growing out. That thing's over there, man. That thing's a beast. It grew up like a fucking willow tree. I shit you not. If I could say it was crossed with anything, probably willow tree. Because it just. So crazy. Yeah, I did my part, or I'm doing my part. I have passed it on to a couple people already, and I'm like, I can't tell you how good it is. The only thing I can tell you is go back and watch that cat's episode, and when he talks about it, you can see the look in his face. It's worth growing. I can tell you that right now. I've got a long way to go on mine, but it shows all plus signs. But as far as effect, his look on that cat's face, you can tell he smoked a lot of weed, I mean,
yeah.
See somebody that excited about something like that, I'll take that. That look is gold.
Definitely. You know it is. You know it is.
413. That's what he sent.
Okay.
So,
That's
yeah, I
crazy.
can't wait. I'll
It's
get
so
back
good,
with
like,
you on this
like,
fact.
ooh, that was really good. But like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm excited,
She
man.
looks like she's gonna be like a super sativa, a long flower type. That's what it looks like.
I don't even know what to like. It hasn't gotten out like this. So this week, right? We share on our story the like about the week coming up, the list of things that people are going to end up having, either clone lists, mainly clone lists, if not, and then also like they'll also be posting what they're actually going to be having as far as like genetics as well, which is really cool. Some people, which is the cool, the people have different displays as far as like how to present, and some end up very few actually have the bud, the finished product, along with the seed, along with the clone, and like all in raw, exactly how it is, like all of it. As far as not selling the bud or the wax or anything like that, as example of what the genetics or the phenos have been hunted down to look like, right? Which is pretty cool, but very few have been able to give that kind of display. And the other one ends up being either fuck I'm just stoned. I don't know.
Yeah, you were talking about the clones that would be available there on display or possibly on order.
Yeah, both. They always end up. I mean, once you end up making that networking connection, I'm sure you can end up working off something because we don't hold gene traders all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like we're jumping around. We'll come to a region about 3 to 4 times. Like we're gonna come back to Michigan after this one, probably like one more time, maybe twice. I don't know, to see how everything works out because we got to be able to operate in the right environment in order for us to be able to be okay for not just us but everybody. It's important because this is something too that I started realizing at a certain point. This like added genetics to regions replenishes everybody's cultivation within that region. Like again, I don't know I don't know if there's a way to quantify how much like cannabis ends up being grown because of one event. All these people that grab seeds, all these people that grab clones, what are they're going to do with it? What are they going to find? And so on and so on. Like it multiplies so much that it's hard to calculate, but it just keeps going.
Well, Michigan's a different example because we're fucking landlocked, surrounded by water on three sides. But we do have that one side, man. I would so do you kind of like I would. You've talked about kind of strategically locating on different sides of the state, but man, I'd be counting on borders as well, right close to where somebody next side of the state or another state one line over can you can get pulling multi-state events, I guess.
What do you mean, like up towards the top, up north?
Well, say like Michigan, like Detroit area, you hold an event there. I'm sure you could pull in people from Ohio, Illinois. You know, you got like a 4-state drive there. Where you get Michigan, and right there above. Because I've noticed that it's when they had the cup down there in Detroit, man, and it was more like it was the last year when Detroit had like it was Farmers Cup. It wasn't even a cup. They were just like, man, everybody from it wasn't even Michigan people. I would say it was like 90%, 80% people from other states, Ohio, Illinois, coming up and scoring genetics and whatever pens and whatnot, and heading back across. But yeah, I make perfect business sense. I guess that's what I'm saying.
We're on second time around. We're on this side. We're on that side of the state. We're around Detroit. We'll say around that. We got to keep it. The venue wants us to keep the the location, secret-ish. But yeah, we're definitely in Detroit-ish area. But yeah, at the same time too, some people, no, excuse me, not some, quite a few number of people, right, have told me that they like the mystique of it. It's not difficult to actually go to the Gene Traders. You purchase a ticket, you get the address. Some people refuse that. Well, I'm not going to buy a ticket if I don't know where it is. I'm like, okay, and that's like that. You follow the rules. This is how it is, and we keep moving forward, right? It's not that difficult. But people like this kind of like not open fully to the public type of situation. Now, some places don't mind it. Like the one in Virginia, they don't mind where posting like that because they're using it kind of as like a promotion thing. It's actually at a new hydro shop in Virginia, because it's opening up to cultivation. They're opening up this one, and this is kind of like their kickoff thing for them. For me, I'm just trying to bring more genetics to the area. For him, he just wants them to come back to buy more equipment from him. So in that sense, it works out in the relationship. And for me, it's more of, because it was such short time that, like, same thing like in New York, I just wanted to be able to bring genetics into that region quickly, so people can people can start off something good. And I'm now, mind you, this is for a very selfish reason. I want to spread as much great genetics everywhere, so it doesn't matter where I'm at, there's great shit everywhere.
That's I don't think that's selfish. That's not selfish. Just want everybody to have fire. There's nothing selfish about that. That's fucking.
I don't want to smoke garbage, dude. I don't want to smoke mid. Smoke fire. So call me selfish, yes.
Still can. I still can. That's pretty awesome. So I'm still fucking bucking for you being able to do it coast to coast at some point. And hopefully find somebody that'll work with you on the West Coast there. Because if anything, I see it as an opportunity, as you talk about, wanting to bring as much awesomeness to each event as possible. So if you can go score some West Coast genetics and bring it back to the East Coast and take the East Coast genetics over there, it just makes the possibility of more awesomeness great.
That's the plan. This is what I'm gonna be able to do when I'm talking about where we end up having these GT selects, these hubs where we were talking about earlier, where you'd be able to walk in, pick up some different type of genetics or different type of clones. The loophole for a lot of places, it's just about you got to work with whatever law is available, right? Some places you got to do this, some places you got to do that. We're trying to work within states that are friendly with genetics, right? Because some are and some aren't, and also able to accept people from other states. That's another one, right? Reciprocity, right? Because if you can't, if you're able to just go into technically, right? They say that a license in some states, a licensed retailer is the only one that's actually allowed to sell seeds, right? So if they're selling seeds and they happen to be from another state, well, they happen to be able to do it. It's still like figuring out which states you can do that, which states you can't, and yeah. So we're trying to set up these hubs around the country so people can actually at least have some kind of minimum of access to. You might have to drive far as fuck, but I mean, stack up, man. At least you won't be making like once or twice a year.
I'm telling you, man, it's definitely worth it, man. If anything, like we were talking about in before, the opportunity to talk with people about being able to grow it firsthand is really, uh, that's my favorite part about buying seeds is being able to talk firsthand. What am I getting? What is this? You know, that's the awesomeness about what you're doing. You ain't gonna get that online. You know, you ain't gonna get that shit online.
No, no, you're not.
I tell you, as far as that goes, on the line shit, man. Back in the day when I still had to buy my shit from overseas, you know what I mean? The overseas seed banks. Fucking anything, any my mail to this motherfucking day, has a red check on it if it comes through the Chicago port, which is like the hub for my side. It comes from like anywhere. It's like a package. I get that red check kind of saying, yeah, we kind of thumbed over your shit. Ever since my overseas purchase.
Damn. At flagged address.
It all stemmed from an attitude order that
You
got
see,
seized.
and this is, you know, the UK doesn't want to fuck with us. It's tough, man. They don't want to. You got to find like a third party in the UK to buy that from them so they can end up shipping it out. It's not easy anymore with that. And I'm interested in some of their genetics, their auto flowering genetics, because I've heard rumors as far as like putting out like a lot of weight, which is pretty impressive. But I want, you know, American ingenuity to actually like, you know, put this shit to the test and actually like breed some like monsters, you know, like really get some wild shit going because they've been doing it for a while, so they must have some fire shit out of it, you know, somewhere, and take that really breed that out.
That day's coming. That day's coming. I've seen some really good shit. I think that's again where the turkey extract shit will come from. But it's coming. You know, there's fucking people growing and breeding thanks to people like yourself making seeds available and have you know high hopes wanting to be breeders across. You know, things in cannabis. We're like we're lighting fires every day. You know, get people interested, selling seeds to them. You know, what's going to come next is amazing things, amazing strains, bigger yielders like you're talking about with these autos. We're just opening the door. We're just opening the door, my friend.
It's funny. I told my daughter that earlier. It's like sometimes I told her I was like, sometimes you just got to start a fire.
That's you know,
Not in California. No, that's
touch.
not funny over there.
No, I
Yeah,
can see that.
yeah.
Not.
That's the only place that's not funny at. But yeah, sometimes you got to start a fire. Yeah.
That's one point right there that I really think is cool. Is never before have we ever, you know, we didn't think we'd be here, but did you ever thought, you know, you'd have a conversation without having negative, stereotypical you know, shit to it with your daughter? Man, I love the idea. I totally love the idea of a possibility of one of my children. And I have no qualms with cannabis. I'd rather have any of my kids grow up and at that legal age be able to choose alcohol or cannabis, I want my kids over here any day. I want them in this camp any day if there's a choice. But I love the fact that, I this garden, the teachings that they could leave, they could make a career out of this. They can provide for themselves. No longer do I have to be like, oh yeah, this is a demon weed. You ain't going nowhere. No, this is actually something that we could, even gene traders, you know what I mean? You could build up this, pass it along to that daughter someday, legally, you know, that's just the thought of being able to build something in cannabis and be able to pass it over to the next gen is fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. That's really cool. So.
That's what I'm working on, man. That's it. She knows about this. Like, I ended up, I did this all, I didn't know investing like that. This is all something that I ended up, an idea that I ended up developing by myself, and I funded myself. So this ownership that I have is all going to my kids. Once and this is why building, like a whole like infrastructure when it comes to like putting genetics out into the marketplace is important for one, the public, right? Because I know that it's something that everyone needs. But two, now I have something that I can pass on to my kids. Whatever they decide to do with it, it's up to them. But at least I got them something going, and through cannabis, out of all things, like, and there's a quote that has been going around, and I like it. At first, they were laughing at me. Now they're asking me for a job. How often have they laughed at us in the cannabis industry? Are you just looking to get high, nothing else? Like, all right, you understand what you really don't see it.
See, one of the benefits I've seen about this whole thing is like talking with physicians. I've actually talked to a few open-minded physicians about cannabis that are really starting to see that it has validity, not just in the medical field. That's awesome. But long time ago, man, I like almost went the other way just to avoid conversation because before this I ran home improvements, carpenter, many talents, and then on that end. What are you doing these days? I'd just be like, yeah, still carpentry, just to avoid the argument. But nowadays, man, I'm quicker to be like, yeah, no, caregiver, fucking medical cannabis, whatnot. And sometimes I get an argument out of the doctors, and sometimes I don't, man. But moreover than that, man, they're open to listen to how it's affecting the people around me, and they're more optimistic and something they may prescribe someday. We're making small strides.
Yeah. The thing with the doctors is that there isn't enough publications, actual like what they call white papers to post into, like that's all it really takes. Once it's in there and they can end up accessing it, they can end up using it. But until then, they consider everything the things that we know as fact, and they consider it anecdotal. And they just argue with us like, oh, it's anecdotal. Like, the fuck out of here. I know what it is.
Yeah, forget the like 2,000 years it's been in use and as medicine throughout the ages. Disregard that. You have to see it.
Anecdotal, they said. Anecdotal. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. So, West Virginia, Michigan, West Virginia. Is there anything? What's
no,
next
Virginia,
after that?
Virginia, not West Virginia, just Virginia.
Virginia.
Yeah. West
It
Virginia.
was actually the folks around Virginia that actually were like, "You got to get him out."
Yo,
Gotta
you
get
know,
it
listen,
going.
whoever's listening for Virginia, honestly, like it's I'm really excited. I love growing outdoors, and Virginia just you guys are in this amazing like geographic location. I'm incredibly excited for Virginia. Uh I don't think like I know the governor's excited, but I don't think like he's excited like I'm excited. Like it's for a totally different reason. Like I can see so much of you know large scale outdoor like facilities in Virginia because of their location. That's not like a like that's a light economic guess that how much that's going to end up affecting like that. Once it becomes federal, they already have a jump on the other states on this side of the country because ultimately it'll start supplying each side versus like how it has been for a long time that the West has supplied pretty much most of the countries like underground thing. Now because of that, it's going to change.
It is, kind of relating back to the white papers, man. I actually encourage anybody that I was talking about this the other night, as far as medical, it's stuff like that, to keep your medical license, man. It's gonna, especially if it comes down to recreational, going from coast to coast, and them guys trying to take away the home grows, man. The more medical cards, the more people we have on that end, it's gonna help the fight, no matter what. But as far as those white papers, I've said this, man. You know, I enjoy recreation. You know, it should just be decriminalized, so it can be used however it needs to be used. But when states go legal, this is what I see: people that were like borderline medical users go, I don't need it. I don't need the. I don't need the hassle anymore. And so when that happens, the number of medical cards that and numbers that are needed for accurate research dwindle. You know what I mean? When somebody's looking to do some research, they want to see, yeah, there's a ton of medical cards. This is what it's being, we need to research this. But if them cards, that number falls, the money available for research and stuff like that, those white papers that we're talking about that are needed are going to be harder and harder to get. And they're going to be like, as we talked about earlier, yeah, told you those stoners just wanted to get high. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
afraid. Yeah.
any of these doctors can do it, right? All they got to do is sit with a fucking case study with you, right? And ask you and just write the data down over time. Done. They fucking just did that shit, but they don't want to.
Hopefully, like I said, I encourage you, if you've ever had a medical card, keep that medical card. It's only going to help. I'm telling you, long run, future, number.
Also, too, I'd rather be a dispensary than a retail shop. Like once it legalized, everybody rushes to the retail side. At that point, I prefer to stay to the medical side. Like that's where the whole caregiver side, it's a whole let the retail shop. It becomes a circus of mids. The retail side becomes a circus of mids. Let them stay over there, and we'll keep to the medical side.
I agree. Is there anything else that we need to throw out there as far as where gene traders are going to be, my friend? Did we say what's after Virginia?
Yeah, I did the rundown earlier in the show, yeah. But I'd say it again just to, um so
Yeah.
June 27th, we will be around Detroit. Wink wink. July 25th, we will be in Richmond, Virginia. So people down from DC, you can come down too, which is pretty close. I think it's like 3 hours, 2.5 hours, something like that. It's going to be really dope. We're going to have a lot of genetics out that day. Then we stop for July, for most of July. No, actually, we nothing for, on August 1st, we will be in New England. August 15th, we will be in upstate New York. August 29th, we're coming back to Michigan. It's the first time we're letting everybody know. Nobody knows that, not fully some of that yet, but yeah, now I guess everybody knows. But we're gonna come back to Michigan August 29th. We don't know. We actually know, we do know, but we're not gonna release what part of the state just yet until more publicly, until after this event comes up. We'll put it out even more, but and then we'll probably come back to Michigan one more time out of this year, along with a whole bunch of other places, possibly. Yeah, everybody needs genetics, and this is tough to coordinate, tough to uh, get together and make happen, especially under the conditions that are given. We as an industry, we are struggling through the crossover from what was to what is, as far as like what is supposed to be right, with the cannabis industry. And this transition, we're picking up the fight that ended up being fought for a long time before us, but this transition is really important and difficult and confusing, but we cannot stop, because if we do, like I like to say, is if you're not at the table when the rules are being written, that means somebody's writing the rules for you. So I like to be at the table.
Our tickets limited.
No, not for Gene Traders General. No, the VIPs always. The VIPs are so the VIPs have, I guess, apparently been a little bit of a slight legend in themselves. We do limit the VIPs to make sure that good genetics are inside, as far as numbering, in the bags. So those always sell out, but no, the general admission is still available either online, but we will stop selling them probably midweek before the event, just to stop. And then after that, if you know the address, you know the address. You can pay at the door. But if you don't know, you don't know. Or don't ask us. We gave you plenty of time to get a ticket. It is what it is. Yeah. It's part of the game here.
Is excuse me. Is it too late if a Michigan breeder or vendor who would like to take part in the event to get a hold of you?
Yeah, it's definitely too late. You have to, for this event, but not for future events. Once we normally end up announcing that we're having like that, we'll start taking in breeder, vendors and sponsors for the event and shit. And then, yeah, but those usually sell out pretty quickly too. The New York one I sold out in like 2 hours. It was crazy. I couldn't believe, like, that hunger was unbelievable. New York is gonna end up, it's gonna be pretty wild. And they actually, it's crazy. They actually asked for a good amount of, like, they're looking for, besides their normal sours and hazes, they're looking for like hash types, which ends up being Michigan, heavy type of genetics. So there's gonna be a good cross section between New York and Michigan. It's gonna be dope. I can't wait to like see what comes out of it. Let's go.
That's fucking awesome. That's awesome.
Years to come, though. Years to come. I can't wait. Yeah, man. I gotta get to bed though.
Well, a couple things before you go, my friend. Just a couple quickies, a couple quick little things. First and foremost, thank you for your time, man. I greatly appreciate it. It helps me buy another night, keep chat going, keep the show going. So thank you. You know, time is invaluable, man. But we don't get enough of it. We can't even fucking put a price on it. So thank you for giving me a few hours of your time. Seem to be a very busy man. So thank you very much. Anybody that comes onto this show, like I told you earlier, it usually goes from 11:30 to 4:20. And what comes like after this is basically what I call used to be the rabbit hole, but now it's the wormhole. Organics got its way in there, kind of flipped it to the organic side. But the wormhole, Monday nights guaranteed is wormhole. It's and any nights where the guest doesn't go full all the way, there's a wormhole session. What that is, it's open to all past guests. The invitation that I sent you today is always good for any night that there's a worm. So feel free to come hang out, smoke, talk genetics, come on and even go, hey man, there's gonna be an event. You know, feel free to come on, man, plug an event. I'm all down for helping people find genetics. You know what I'm saying? Please, come on, tell us what's up, where the next one's going to be. Always appreciate it. So thank you. Hopefully you do utilize that invitation. Come hang out sometimes. Don't I have to do business? We come hang out and smoke. Usually, there's people from all around the world that hang out in the wormholes. So it's a good way to meet connections, just to hang out. So keep that in mind. You know, if you ever want to use that as well, you're always welcome. Great conversation, great gentleman. You're more than welcome. The other thing I'd like to get before you go, my friend, is you said you had a little bit in radio. This is where the radio portion comes in. I'm kind of looking for that old school soundbite. So basically, in my words, my version, what I'm looking for, it'll go, ah, uh, is basically what I'm looking for. My version would be his. Hey, this is Eagle, and I'm on fucking talking shit with Eagle, episode 418. Fucking, you can put whatever you want on it, whatever after there, make it your own. But basically, and ultimately, this would be a commercial for your episode. So could you please give me your sound bite for this episode?
What number is this?
418.
All right, 418. He's like, what's going on? This is Lupino from Gene Traders, and I'm hanging out, bullshitting, fucking for hours with the Eagle, man. This is episode 418. We talked a whole bunch of shit. It was a lot of fun. Can't wait to come back. And the wormholes is going to be dope. And also check out my Gene Traders. I can't wait, man. You guys check out this whole session. It's going to be a good time, man.
Thank you, my friend. It has been an awesome episode, and I can't thank you for your time. Please keep that invitation, and I look forward to seeing you again soon, my friend. Thanks again.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
You too. Well, that wraps up this episode 418. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed this episode. I know I have. Please subscribe to the Dream. One more time. The Gene Trader IG, so you know what's going on, where you can find them, where the next event is, or if you're a breeder, try to get that table there to pass on some amazing genetics. So Gene Traders on Instagram. Thank you guys. You know the routine. Please do something nice for somebody. Random acts of kindness do save lives. Never gonna quit beating that drum. I'll see you guys in a few for the wormhole. If you guys aren't gonna come along, thanks for watching. Have a great